because it's live, right? So we're live now, and we just kind of send a link to people before we start, and then we will.
Sometimes the lads jump in and start giving Red abuse. It's usually how it goes.
Really, I'm the victim of a lot, to be honest with you.
Right.
We're all victims, aren't we?
No, just me. Don't be trying to steal my victimhood. God, so
anyway,
typical.
Let's introduce it there. So here we are, folks. Live episode 20 of the Red and Tera Show. We're joined by the wonderful Suzie. We're going to get into some stuff very shortly, but if you want to just maybe introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do.
I'm Red, sir. Sorry.
I'm Suzie. I did a show with the two of you, like, what was it, like 7 or 8 years ago, right?
TV. I literally was looking at it today. We're all still fresh-faced and as beautiful as we were back then. Haven't aged today.
Of our naivety and joy. So I'm a presenter and an actor, and well, I was until all this shit hit the fan. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Well, you're in the same boat. We've had, like, I had George Murphy on. He's a musician. Obviously, we're in that sort of background as well. But you're in the exact same boat. What work do you have at the moment? How can you work or make a living? It's virtually impossible, is it?
Yeah, I mean, before all this hit, I was doing a play I live in London, and it was meant to kind of go on tour around Ireland as well. And COVID hit and everything just got like gone. I mean, I do a bit of voiceover work, so I'm lucky in that sense.
Do you? What do you do?
I'm not going to name anybody's that I do voiceover work for. You can do that from home, but it's not the same as like leaving your house and going to work.
We had a mate of mine, Luke Hannon, on, who actually shot a film during pretty much the whole COVID thing, and it was fascinating to get an insight into how difficult it was for him to just go and do something that no more than 6 months earlier was just a natural way of life. You just went around, got your permit, set up your shot and all. He was like, every step of the way, it was just a tumultuous nightmare and you didn't want to upset people. You don't know what way people's attitude is towards the way things are in the world at the moment. So you were kind of making sure everyone's comfortable and, within, if you feel like they're at risk or something, that everything's set up for them. But all the while going, this is fucking stupid. This is, so I can only imagine for yourself, like, it's probably frustrating that you can't get out there and do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been focusing on kind of doing my own thing. Like, I did shoot a short film in November. And as much as I'm like not a fucking freak about COVID, it still was, I had people coming to film, and like one of them the day before is like, oh, I've had a really bad headache. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
And you're freaking out about it. I'm going to the director, check he doesn't have COVID, because as much as people are saying they're okay with this, people are also freaks about not wanting to get sick as well. So
that's true. Well, come here, people forget, only last year, and from time infinite, you'd go into like your ma's house and somebody in there be sneezing or coughing or something. You're like, oh fuck, I don't want to get sick. You know what I mean? So it was always this natural thing of, if someone was sick, they'd self-isolate nearly naturally, and you'd keep away from them because it's like, well, I'm working this week. I don't want to have something of a wedding at the weekend. I don't want to be sick for that. That's the last thing I need. I'm going away on holiday in a week or two. The last thing I need is to get another flu. This inherent attitude, but the way people are with it now is just, it's beyond bizarre. A full reprogramming job has been done on the masses. It's interesting to watch, but it's frightening at the same time.
But people are just fucking stupid. Like,
I was trying to be diplomatic.
Just about to say that. I was literally just about to say, but that's because people are stupid.
Yeah, and I'm glad you cursed as well, because you were going to show us up. I just want to curse for that.
But they just don't. They can't listen to reason. Like, they can't listen to like stuff. Like, yesterday, I met a friend of mine, and his neighbor was standing at the window, and she's like, oh, I've got COVID. Like, I wasn't going near her anyway. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm immune to it. And she's like, I don't think that's a thing. And I was like, it is a thing.
It's quite clearly.
Yeah. I was like, I've had it already. And she went, but that only lasts for a few months. I'm like, you don't fucking know me. You don't know my fucking body. You don't know my immunity. And I just went, No, I am immune to this. I got massively exposed to it again in October. Like, I was living and working with people for like 10 days who all had COVID and sharing a room with someone, and didn't get it again. I was told I was immune with French health authorities, so I am immune. And she's just going, oh, like, you know what I mean? And she probably still doesn't think you can be immune.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, what she did then was she went into the house to her sister and says, that girl across the road thinks she's immune, but she's not immune. I mean, she's just so crazy.
Anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers.
She's had to show me absolute irrefutable evidence that she's immune, but I don't think she's immune. Well, I tell you what, when Leo Varadkar comes on telly and tells me she's immune, well, then I'll believe that she's immune. Until then, she's not fucking immune.
Leo Varadkar, like, imagine that being the fucking... what people see as a representation of all things true and, you know, right in the world, and the likes of Tony Houlihan, you know what I mean? Oh, you give him a plaque, give him the key to the city. He's like the guy behind the cervical screen stuff.
Never happened. Never happened. The cervical cancer never happened. Never happened.
No one died from cervical cancer ever.
No, never happened. Tony Houlihan.
Why do we reward these people who fuck up? Like, why are we giving them, like, honoring them? You fuck up in most jobs. If you fuck up like that, you get fired.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is as well, like, for me, where it is that up until the point of COVID, they were the worst government on the planet according to everybody. Like, they couldn't do anything right. They were inept. They were just imbeciles. They were all idiots, and they scammed the fucking election and blah blah. Like, they're out. Now they're gods amongst men, and if you go against what they say, you're crazy. It's people are so fucking bizarre. It's absolutely crazy. Well, let's crack on. Other than slagging people, calling them idiots, because we do that in every other podcast. We can do it in the next one. While we have Suzie here, we might as well talk about. So you went over to Sweden. How recent was it?
I went over to Sweden. I think it was the second week in November.
So it was mid-pandemic, balls deep in the pandemic.
Yeah, it was the week before they were bringing in further restrictions, because everybody was like, well, Sweden are bringing in a 10 o'clock curfew. And I was like, yeah, but they're not fucking shutting the whole place down. So I think it was about the 15th of November.
Right.
What kind of restrictions were they under at that time?
No, I mean, like, because people say that Sweden didn't have anything. Like, they definitely do have stuff in place. Like, I kind of was like, oh, I'm going to land in the land of the fucking free, and this is all going to be fun. But I was surprised. I landed in, so there's 2 airports in Stockholm, landed in the shitty Ryanair one, and they did make you actually wear a mask until you went out of the airport, which was surprising. Then,
would that be a Ryanair policy rather than a Sweden policy, though?
No, it'd be the airport authority, wouldn't it?
Oh, the actual airport.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant on the plane. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, it was the airport. But then I got on the bus, and like, no one's wearing a mask. Got on the train, and there were seats on the train that you couldn't sit on, like that had like been crossed off for social distancing. But then nobody was wearing masks on the public transport, and then got to like the hotel, and everything was normal.
Like normal.
How did they hit you initially? Was it bizarre?
No, I don't think so. I think you.
It felt natural again, did it?
Yeah, it just not normal that like you kind of were going, like, you went to the hotel. I think there was hand sanitizer at the reception desk, but like no one was like, "Can you sanitize your hands, please?"
And is there signs everywhere, like over in Ireland? I don't know if it's in the UK, like COVID, keep your distance. Every shop has like 6 or 7 different yellow signs in the window. You know, you'll have notices say if you go into a hotel, it would be at the desk. It would be like, beware of other people, wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. Is there signs like that everywhere in Sweden? Or
no mask, no entry?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
No, like there is a bit, like, so we were like on the equivalent to like their like Grafton Street, Henry Street, and like where the shops were smaller, they would have a sign saying like maximum like 6 people in the shop at a time, and like, but that's really fucking small shops. But like you go into H&M and it was just normal, and like, but you would have a thing on the intercom going like, please keep your distance, but people weren't really, like, you could still try on clothes in the shop, which, you know, you can. When was the last time you were able to walk into a shop and try on clothes here? I couldn't tell you.
Well, I was in Penny's a couple of no, yeah, it's bizarre over here, because you'll have literally people fighting over a carton of milk in Tesco. But if you walk near them in some other scenario, it's like, yeah, you have the plague, you know. it's weird. Ireland is a very bizarre place at the moment. It's the only way of describing it. Like literally, you'll see 100 people in an aisle in Lidl, and there's not a problem. Every one of them leaning over each other with masks and all. So the world it's a strange place. That's why I'd be interested. Like in Sweden, when you see everything as normal, does it look abnormal? You know what I mean? Like when you don't see everybody wearing masks now, are you kind of like looking at people going, "Why aren't you all covering your faces?"
No, because I don't agree with masks anyway.
No, I'd be the same. But everywhere you go, everyone is wearing a mask.
So basically, the new normal here hasn't kind of embedded itself into you just
That's
yet.
what I'd be interested to, because if for instance, outside you see people not wearing a mask, but as you walk into a shop, you see them all putting on the mask. So when you see them in indoor areas, you kind of expect everyone to wear a mask now. It's like your programming or your expectation is starting to switch over. So I'd be just interested to know, once you step out of that, immediately would you be like, well, something's not right here? Or is it like, right, this feels like normal? What's the kind of the thought process?
It just, when I saw it, it just made me like really happy. I was like, this is fucking normal. This is the way people are meant to be. Like it didn't, because it makes me, I'm still in a mentality that if I'm walking down the street and I see someone walking up the street with a fucking mask on in the pissing rain,
moron.
I'm like, fucking Egypt. Like
moron.
You're just breathing in fucking wet, damp bacteria into your face.
And why?
You're actually seeing people jogging with masks on. Like that's how bizarre it. Like I drove past a guy the other day who was jogging with a mask on. Now I don't know whether he was doing some sort of breathing training, like he
needed cycling and all.
He needed to learn how to hold his breath for a really long amount of time, and that was a training. But then it makes sense. But other than that, it's just absolutely.
But I have seen people driving a car on their own wearing a mask, cycling wearing a mask. I seen one woman cycling down the road, and she had a frame on the front with a carriage for a kid in it. And so the kid was underneath a see-through tarp to keep them from getting wet, and was wearing a mask underneath it. And me and the other lad with me in the van were looking at it, we're like, that kid's going to suffocate under there. Like, you're underneath a tarp already, and then you have a mask. Like, who are you being protected from?
We have a first comment here. American couple kicked off flight today because 2-year-old daughter wouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them videos.
Like, but I thought kids didn't have to. I thought there was an age.
I think it was American Airlines or something. This
is
mandatory, and people clapped them off, as far as I know. Clapped them off because, well, you should be able to control your child.
Well, no, to be honest, if I see a 2-year-old kid getting dragged off an airplane, I'm secretly happy about it as well. But for different reasons.
Yeah.
Rather than
Red's clapping as well, going, "Yay, fucking noisy bastard, get off."
Kick my chair, will you little bollocks? Get them over.
Anyway, continue on to, so you're in Sweden.
So we're in Sweden, and we checked into the hotel. And one of the weirdest things about being in a hotel, I'd stayed in a hotel in Ireland during the summer, and I went to make a cup of tea, and there was no fucking kettle in the room because of COVID. So I was like, great, there's a kettle in the room. Like, just really stupid fucking things. So we went.
No kettle in the room.
Yeah.
In Ireland, no, because if you're coming in the next day and it hasn't been properly sanitized, and
but would the boiling water
no don't
naturally kill the virus?
Don't deploy logic to it. It doesn't exist anymore.
But also surface transmission isn't the thing. This is what I don't get, where people are going around with this whole fucking like sanitize. It hasn't proven to be a thing. No,
and even I know the kids in my own school, they weren't allowed to do Chris Kindle or anything like that. And then a couple of the classes were like, all right, they're going to bring in teachers for the presents for your teacher for Christmas. You had to bring them in like 3 weeks beforehand. They were stored so that there would be no COVID. But the same teacher went down and got her milk off a shelf in Tesco an hour later when there was no problem. It's just bizarre. Like, what are you doing? And I'm sure you're probably the same. You've probably seen that study out of Wuhan, the 10 million people, in no way symptomatic spread. What are we doing?
And there was a Danish research was done. I think it was 6,000 people, and what they figured out with the masks was it would take 200,000 people wearing the mask 24/7 to stop one spread of COVID.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is you see all this stuff and people, when they tell me off about not wearing a mask, I'm like, the deputy chief medical officer in the UK turned around in August and said, there's no strong evidence either way to support masks. So that's the equivalent of like whoever's beneath that Tony Houlihan guy admitting that masks don't work in Ireland. Yeah. And still people are going, yeah. And I'm like, well, if they're telling me they're not effective, why the fuck do I have to wear one?
But they won't listen. Like, you look at the vaccines at the moment, and in their own print, they're saying, the one term that really disturbed me was like, if you're pregnant, it's unlikely that there will be any adverse effects if you get a vaccine. Then they're telling you it might be better for you to freeze your sperm, to not have sex or attempt to get pregnant for up to 4 months after getting it. And like, you're reading all this and you're going, now,
or if you plan on trying for a baby, you shouldn't get the vaccine as well.
But it's completely safe and it won't make anyone infertile. And it's like, they're telling you, like in that instance, masks don't work, and then saying you should wear a mask, and people are just ignoring the masks don't work part. And well, they're saying get a vaccine, and I'm pregnant, so I'm doing my duty and I'm being virtuous by doing it. It's like, but they're after telling you, you know, that something could happen, or, you know, you shouldn't be getting pregnant and getting, you know, it's just weird. People are, it's selective. It's not even bias. It's just selective information disregarding. And, you know, what I'm being told and then correct information, they're two separate entities. One doesn't exist and one I'm just going to follow blindly. Like, again, it's just weird to see it play out.
Well, in regards to the vaccine, so somebody posted this on my page here, and again, I don't know how true it is, but it may be. So it's, the new coronavirus shot does not give lasting immunity, does not eliminate the virus, does not prevent death, does not guarantee you won't get sick, does not prevent you from getting the virus, does not prevent you from spreading the virus to others, does not eliminate the need to travel bans, does not eliminate the need for business closures, does not eliminate the need for lockdowns, does not eliminate the need for restrictions on gatherings, does not eliminate the need for masking, does not contribute to herd immunity, which begs the question, what's it 95% effective in doing?
What's the fucking point of it then?
So there has to be, I'm no conspiracy theorist, Tera is, that's his corner, but there has to be some sort of agenda behind it all. I don't know what it is, but there has to be some form of, I don't know why they're doing it. It's a bit mental. Like, your immune system is there for a reason. You should be able to utilize it. But it seems to be now they've decided that the vaccine was the way to go, maybe around October, and that's it now. So they're sticking with the vaccine idea regardless of everything else. And was there any chat of vaccines in Sweden?
When I was in Sweden, one of the nights we were out, we started talking to this guy, and he was saying that I think it was it 2008 when swine flu came in?
Yeah, 2009 was it? Mm-hmm. Might have been 2009, 2008, 2009, I think. Yeah.
He was saying that he was in school at the time, and everybody in his class got vaccinated against swine flu, apart from him and another guy. And one of the side effects of that vaccine was narcolepsy. And he was saying that, like, you'd be out with your friends and suddenly they'd all be falling asleep in the cinema.
Really? Like, a lot of them?
Loads of them. And they found out, like, you can check this out. Like,
I know it's a thing, because a mate of mine, his daughter has narcolepsy from vaccine injury. But you can't talk about it because you're a nut job if you do, you know?
This stuff just drives me insane. Yeah. Like,
and I wouldn't mind, as they were ramping up the vaccine rhetoric over here, there was a case for the swine flu where 100 people over here who got swine flu vaccines and got vaccine injuries are going through the courts where they're all getting their payouts. So, like, you're reading literally one article from RTE or whoever, the Herald or whatever, and the next article after that, one is everybody must be vaccinated or you're a danger to everyone and blah, blah, blah. And then the next one is like vaccine injured swine flu victims in court receive blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it's like, can people not, like, do a little bit of research and say, right, there might be something to this?
But also, like, I didn't get, when I was a kid, that I think autism link came out with with MMR. I didn't get one of those. I think it was.
That explains a lot, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that explains why I'm like this. But I didn't get, my mum didn't give me one of them because of that link, and I ended up getting measles and I didn't die. Like, you know, and
sure, everybody got measles regardless.
Oh, did
Yeah, I
they?
had the measles.
Yeah, I had measles, and I had me probably can't say I had me 3
Your
dots.
paddy parts.
The inoculations. Now I kept me young when I was school this year. She only started school, and a couple of weeks in, it was like, get your flu nasal spray vaccine. It was like, nah, that's not happening. And then the letter came out for the MMR, and I was like, well, she won't be in that day, so I had to keep her out for 2 days just in case. It's like they're fucking ramping up these vaccine programs, just looking to get them in as young as possible. Like, and there's no question there's links to some sort of side effects.
Well, the thing is, it's not 100%. That for me, and that's my issue with vaccines. But not like, I mean, I won't get it, but I don't care if other people get it. But I think because it's not 100% that you will not get a side effect, it should not be mandatory or forced. But it is being forced on people. And I made this point before. People saying they're forcing vaccines, and I was like, well, they're not forcing it. I was like, well, they are, because if you don't get it, you can't travel, can't go to shops. So it is force. It's not. They're not actually saying, like, they're not dragging you in and sticking it in your arm, but they are using force by saying, oh, you don't have to get it, but if you don't, you'll starve and die. So they kind of are forcing it, like.
Well, then I think you have to find a reason why you're exempt from getting it. And like, you know, if there's that many side effects to it, like I know I've had like chronic fatigue syndrome before. That's a side effect of these vaccines. So there's no fucking way I get it. I'm not going through that shit again. So like, I'll just go to the doctor and say, well, look, I've had this before. This is a side effect of the vaccine, so I'm exempt. And I'm sure there's so many side effects. If it's like a headache and you ever got a headache in your life, you got to say to the doctor, yeah, I'm exempt from this. And that's how you're just going to have to get around this bullshit.
Well, my argument before would have been to use aborted baby fetuses, and I don't inject aborted babies into me. But now the church has actually come out and said, no, it's okay for their people to go and inject dead babies into them if it's a necessity in a pandemic. So,
amen, and a woman.
A woman. So I'll have to think of another one. But, you know, look, you find a reason like that if you have any sort of allergies. I think you can't get the Pfizer vaccine, is it?
I'm allergic to bullshit, so I can't get it.
Anyway, we keep digressing. Back to Sweden. Want to hear about this? So you're in Sweden. You're in the hotels. Why did you think about going there to document it? Were you intended to document it, or were you just going on holiday, or what was the crack?
No, so a friend of mine was on Facebook ranting about all the kind of bullshit that was going on. I was ranting about it. He's a comedian. I kind of said, I really want to go to fucking Sweden. And at the time I had a friend in Norway, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll meet her. She was meant to be filming there. Anyway, that didn't happen. So I went over with him and went over with, you know, the Irish Inquiry.
Yeah.
So one of the guys from that. And we were like, well, just talk to people on the street and just see what the fuck they think of all this. And like, it was just so interesting as to how, like, I know, and people will argue Swedish people are naturally compliant anyway, and they trust their government, which is what you should trust your government.
You should be able to trust your government.
Yeah. But they were all just like, yeah, we're really happy with the way this has been handled. Like, we don't want lockdowns. Well, if we were told a mask worked, we'd wear a mask. Like, if we were told to do certain things, we would do it. Like they do, like you can't have a massive concert there where like you can't dance. Like we were in, like, and they do limit the amount of people in bars. Like we went to go into one bar, they're like, no, it's too busy. Came back later, went in, and it was one of those bars that you can kind of, what was it, like not a casino, but I can't remember. Anyway, the lads were fucking betting, losing money, and like I wasn't allowed like stand around the table, or you were not allowed dancing there. Like they do still have restrictions. Yeah. It's just you're still allowed to get on with your life.
Common sense kind of approach.
It seemed to be that the government didn't treat all their citizens like baby imbeciles, which is the way Ireland kind of treated. It was like, no, they would ramp it up for the week before a lockdown was going to come in, and they'd start blaming you. Well, it's your fault you've been out breaking the 5 kilometre rule. It's your fault you've been mingling with friends. It's your fault this, that, and the other. So we're going to have to implement this lockdown. At no stage was like, look, this is a health emergency. We need to just bring this in. Everyone needs it. But we respect people to make the best choice for themselves. This is what we recommend. Always over here, it was like an attack on the people and pitting people against each other. Well, it's the people who aren't wearing masks are causing it. Yeah, it's them anti-maskers. That's why we're going into lockdown. It's like, that's not the truth. But it seemed like Sweden took this approach of, well, we trust our citizens that if we give them advice, they'll follow it. We don't think we necessarily need to go into a full lockdown, but we do need to put in certain measures, and people went about it and followed it. That seemed to be from afar, but that's what it was like over there when you got there, yeah?
Yeah, like it was like we went out on the Saturday night and it wasn't that busy where we were. And we were asking people, we're like, is it normally busier than this on a Saturday night? Because some of the bars were half full. And they were like, yeah, no, it wouldn't normally be like this. But people are naturally staying at home and not going out and not going to bars.
But see, the problem with Ireland is that
we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we are a nation that likes to go for the old...
I get that, but would you not be able to say, okay, if you open a pub and say, I don't know, the capacity is normally like 200 people, you're allowed to have 20 people in it, and that's it. We've enough fucking pubs in this country. We've enough fucking... and I know that's not necessarily like gonna pay them to do that, but it's a lot. They don't have to fucking open, but like, just give us the choice.
The thing is, they just don't trust the Irish people. Like, there's definitely been a side campaign. It's almost run parallel to the COVID lockdowns. Has been an anti-drinking campaign has gone along. Like, you've heard Houlihan and stuff like that saying that the drink is very dangerous for COVID. It attracts COVID nearly. This is the rhetoric they're throwing out constantly. And it's almost like they are using this as an opportunity for whatever lobby in the government have decided, right, we need to cut down on the drinking culture. We need to stamp out the publicans. And it seems to be this little agenda is running alongside it. Because pubs haven't been open in Ireland, like what they call now wet pubs, which is a silly argument, haven't been open in Ireland for nearly a year. It's been nearly a year. So
if they really, but this is what I think. I look at some of these people talking this stuff, and I look at them and go, I'm not going to take health advice from people that don't look healthy. Like, your man doesn't look fucking healthy. Half them don't look fucking healthy. So why am I taking health advice from them? Like,
remember Mary Harney?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Jesus Christ, you're taking the piss. Like your man Simon Harris, he looks like he's fucking crept out of a crypt earlier on that day. Like, he looks like he hasn't seen sunlight in years. You know what I mean? That's your Minister for Health. And what qualification has he got in health? Nothing.
Like, when your man fucking... I can't stand Micheál Martin. I've hated him since I was a teenager because he used to fucking annoy me. But, like, these people giving health advice, like, if you genuinely gave a shit about our health, why is McDonald's still open but the gym is closed? Like, this doesn't make sense. You're not...
Why aren't you telling people to take vitamin C, vitamin D, eat healthier, exercise? Yeah, you're nail on the head there.
Like,
you know, why are people who are afraid of COVID telling us that we're risking their health, and they're 20 stone and they sit there milling the Big Mac going, oh, could you move over? You're affecting my health. It's fucking crazy. It's
smoke in one hand, a beer in the other, and a Big Mac in their mouth going, you have to protect my health, wear the mask. You know, it's just... So anyway, you're in Sweden, you're going around, you're interviewing people, getting kind of a feel for what's going on over there. What was the takeaway from it? What was the general takeaway?
What questions did you ask first?
Where it was like, do you know anyone who's had COVID? Do you agree with lockdowns? Do you think masks work? And are you happy with like your government's response to this? It was all really positive. Like, we interviewed like an old lady and she's like, yeah, I know 2 people who've died, but I'm happy with the response to this. Oh, we also asked them how worried they were on a scale of 1 to 10. The older they were, the more frightened they were. But a lot of them had already had COVID as well.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Like, another interesting thing about Sweden was, and I think it's so interesting, especially for Ireland and the UK, they don't have the high levels of fucking obesity and overweight people that we have in Ireland and the UK. Like, their food is healthy. Like, I only saw one obese person and they were walking into McDonald's when I was there.
And he was Irish. He had a Dublin jersey on.
So anyway, you come back, you put out this film, and what was the general feeling from the Facebook crowd, or, you know, what was the general feedback that you were getting from this What
even when I was over there, I was getting people I know going like, how dare you go to Sweden? Like, look at their case numbers. Look at their, like, people just so not wanting Sweden to have done the right thing and them to have been so right in what they did. But yeah, I'm sure you saw it on Facebook. Like, we got abused. We were told that we were racist and ableist because we didn't interview any black people or sorry, people of color was the term, or people who were
which is racist in itself, isn't it?
So you got called racist because Sweden isn't diverse.
Yeah. So it's my fault that like I didn't see enough people of color on the streets of Stockholm on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
that
Suzie,
they may or may not have wanted to talk to you as well.
Like, yeah, like, I mean, it wasn't, you know, the thing we put up were the people that talked to us. Like, we didn't change that in any way. That was the responses that we got from people. But also, I'm not going to go up to someone who's struggling.
Hey, you're black. You'll do. Come here for a second.
Let's be racially diverse, right? Get the black guys in over here, and all the disabled people, you wait over there. We'll do you next. Yeah. It's just it's again bizarro world we're living in.
It's so strange though that the people who are calling people racist see everything through the prism of color.
Yeah,
it's like, because I mean you're probably doing this thinking nothing of it, and then they're sitting there and what they don't see, you know, you've asked these people, they don't see the content is COVID. They don't see that. What they see, they're looking, go, oh, no. Right, you haven't got a black person. Lovely, you're racist. It's and also it seems that they want Sweden to fail.
But also when people call you a racist, you do suddenly go, shit, like, did I fuck up? So I sent it to one of my mates who's black and was like, listen, and he was like, oh, for fuck's sake, don't mind that person. He was like, I bet you she's white. And I went, yeah.
You usually are.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
You have to, I think we're in the era now where if you haven't got a thick skin, you won't last long, or you're on the other side already because you're afraid. People won't say things for fear of being ridiculed or attacked for something or other. But so you come back from there, you put it out, you get this feedback. Do you feel like it was worth going over? Obviously, it's ridiculous to think that going over there during the pandemic was a dangerous thing or whatever. Anyone who has that opinion, like, why haven't they stopped going to shops? Why haven't they stopped going for a coffee with their mates? You know, these people are like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. But I just need to pop around to Mary here and you know what I mean? Because I have to carry about my business, which is cool and won't kill anybody. But what you're doing is killing people. But anyway, you're back from this. Do you feel like it was a worthwhile experience, or was it just a teaser to see life could be a little bit better than where we are?
Well, the thing is with all of this, like, as I can't remember if we were live when I said this, but I had COVID in March. So once I got over the fear of fucking COVID and had it and survived, I didn't give a fuck. And I've gotten so much abuse this year. Like, I got abused the first time I came back from Ireland from London. They're like, how dare you come back? I was like, I haven't seen my family for 4 months. I fucking rang the HSE. They said I'm fine, like, to come in. Like, people have given me abuse the whole way. Like, I've had the same opinion on COVID since the very start of this anyway. Yeah. The lockdown was bullshit. But I'm kind of used to getting abuse for it. Like, it was worth going to Sweden, but I've gone to Spain during this. I've gone to France during this. I've gone to Amsterdam during this. And in France and Spain, they walk around with fucking masks on 24/7. And it's made no fucking difference.
That's just because their bread is garlicky.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Does that make me racist, actually? No.
Hey, fuck out of here.
Francist.
Right. Yeah, Spain is the same. You get fines if you're caught out and about without a mask on, and like that, as you say, no difference to the cases. It makes no difference, and people won't.
I don't want to know that. Like, it's like when I turn around and went, oh, so we're going into lockdown again. But I thought the masks worked. So if the masks work, can you not keep the shop open? Like, if they worked, you'd be able to keep a shop open.
Yeah, I said it to Reds yesterday. I'm like, yeah. You're in a position now where flu has been eradicated. So something that we have known our whole lives. You've gotten a cold, you've gotten a flu once or twice a year or whatever. Everyone you know has gotten them. Your whole life, this has been in existence. And now they're telling you that socially distancing, wearing a mask and washing your hands has eradicated this from existence. It is no longer here. We don't have the flu. It's not here. And in the same breath, they'll say to you, because you're not wearing a mask, socially distancing or washing your hands, that you're spreading COVID.
And the irony of it is, it wasn't a vaccine that killed the flu. So that kind of goes against the vaccine buzz as well, doesn't it?
Like literally, it's like, can you not keep your story straight? You can't be both things at the same time. Either got rid of the flu because we're doing all this, and that's great. But then, no, you're spreading COVID because you're not doing all this. And it's like, well, which is it? We're either doing it or we're not doing it. You can't get rid of one by doing one thing and then have another because you haven't been doing that thing. You can't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
Well, I was watching the Niall Boylan show, listening to it in the van, and so he had two guys on. I can't think of their fucking names. It's irrelevant anyway. And Niall is usually, because Niall is kind of against all this shit as well. But I was a bit disappointed with him because he raised that issue, and the guy kind of nonchalantly pointed out, says, "Oh well, yeah, the flu thing is gone because of where we're all social distancing and wearing masks." And Niall didn't push him on it, and that kind of bothered me because it's like they're pointing out there so nonchalantly, and people are listening to that and then regurgitating it, and it's like, well, no, don't just stop there. Let's delve into this if it is because of social distancing. And then what he says was, well, obviously, what the guy said was, obviously people are social distancing and the COVID is much more infectious. So it's like, so masks don't work for COVID. It's a set, but I was hoping Niall would have pointed, pushed that point at him, but he didn't. So I don't know.
I heard one fella on his show say something along the lines of, "Oh, the new mutated version is much more virulent and dangerous to younger people." And Niall, in fairness to him, goes, "Well, there's no evidence to suggest that. There's absolutely zero evidence."
That's not.
Yeah, and your man literally said, "All right, yeah, but it's still more dangerous for young people." It's like,
it's not like, I know people working in like kind of track and trace and all this in the UK, and there's no evidence for that. But I was also over in France in October. I was so pissed off, I actually went, I'm going to go volunteer at refugees in France in October. So I was over in Calais, and they were fucking wrecking my head about COVID. Masks were worn 24/7, and I couldn't deal with people screaming at me in French, so I actually wore one. And anyway, COVID got in, and there was 20, like I think there was about 20 of us. 18 people all and they did have symptoms of it. Like they all got COVID. It was that mutant strain that was really infectious. Like I was so surprised by how many people got it. When I had it in March, my flatmate didn't get it. The guy I was seeing at the time didn't get it off me. But they were all fine. Like I know over 70 people who've had it at this stage, young people, and they're all fine.
But it's like every year when there was a flu going around and you got it, and then you were grand, and then someone else would get it 2 weeks later, and they were grand, and it went around, and everyone got it, and everyone got on with their lives, and there was no problems in the world. And now it's like they've rebranded flus as COVID, and all of a sudden panic sets in, and everyone's terrified. But then when they get it, it's like, yeah, I just kind of stayed in bed for 2 or 3 days, drank lots of fluids, and then it was all right. Sounds like a flu to me, like it's no different.
And Jeremy Clarkson as well. You seen the thing with Jeremy Clarkson? So there was a news article that came out saying that and what was a bit even more kind of frustrating about this headline was that it was as like they got a quote from him, and it was like Jeremy Clarkson really feared for his health as he was diagnosed with COVID, and then Jeremy Clarkson came out and said, "Yeah, no, I did have it. I sat in my bed for 2 weeks, read a book, and it went away." But the fact that these headlines are coming out,
I don't think it was even feared for his life. I think it was nearly along the lines that Jeremy Clarkson nearly died from COVID.
No, they done it in a way that it was like he made a comment saying he was really worried about it, and then he had to come out.
Yeah, feared for his life or something. It was
but then people are seeing this and they're not putting. They're just going to go and walk on. I was like, well, what, like, and look at RTE. They're going for parties, and people say, "Oh, well, that's stupid." I was like, but think deeper. They're telling you to be afraid. They're clearly not afraid. Why are they not afraid? Why were RTE so comfortable with doing it in the first? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they should do it. I think we should all fucking do it. But like, when people look at it and they go, "Oh, but they had a party and they apologise. It is what it is," and it's like, no, it's deeper than that. Why are they not afraid of catching it? Because I mean, let's be honest, RTE is ran by fucking dinosaurs and it's presented by dinosaurs. They're all in the age where they're at the close to the at-risk age. So why had they no problem? Why were they not afraid of catching COVID? No masks, no social distancing. Why were they not doing it? that's the deep question that people who watch RT need to ask themselves. But it's like people are afraid to ask the question. Like they're so it's like they refuse now to admit that they may be wrong. The general populace. So
I think the problem with a lot of Irish people is that they're the worst critical thinkers ever. Like they can't. I think it's our education. I think it's any education system though, that they don't question things. It's probably like a hangover from the fucking Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church told you to do something and you just did it. Now it's just the media tell you to do something and you just fucking do it and they don't question it.
Do you feel like COVID is almost like a new religion for these people?
Yeah, 100%.
They've a new purpose, like all hail the virus, wear your mask, make your sacrifices to your God. You know, like that genuinely, it's like they're a part of something again. Ireland has, in the last 20 years, moved very far away from the church and religion to what the country was. And it's almost like people there's a void, there's an empty gap in their lives, and now they have a purpose again. I'm the most virtuous in my office. I wear my mask all the time. I hail the COVID gods the most. I write the most posts praising my God. Like, it literally is like a new religion for them. They fill the void in their lives with this. I think that's.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do when COVID is over?
They go back to being empty vessels again.
To be going around licking syringes, they will, just to try and start something else. Just because they just love fear porn. I mean, they're actually going onto Pornhub and typing in fear to see what comes up. That's how bad you think you get. Like.
You know Tuberty. So he was on. I think he was on the Pat Kenny show. Was it yesterday or something like that? And this is the level of obnoxious classism you're dealing with. He was complaining about so he prefixed it with, I had somewhere very important to go to today. I had somewhere very important to go to. Now we're in lockdown, but I had somewhere very important that I needed to be, and I was really shocked by the amount of vehicles out on the road. Where are all these people going? They should be in their homes. At no time was it, well, where were you going?
Somewhere important.
What was your thing that was so important that didn't breach being essential that all these other people weren't doing? And it's this narcissistic attitude that these people have. Like, he's been one of the biggest pushers of this thing. He was the first person nearly in Ireland to have COVID publicly. And he's been like, the late toy show was literally an advertisement for Big Pharma. You know, he's been pushing this all on, and people like this are getting on the radio and they're just throwing out these things, and there's no opposition. Everyone's fucking all hail Tuberty's so great as well, isn't he?
Well, you can't oppose, because any medical guys or immunologists, anybody that comes out publicly, their job's gone. So it's completely, they have it completely sewn up.
But the thing is, like, Ryan Tuberty probably fucking made up that he had COVID just for the attention.
Of course he did.
Such a fucking narcissist. Like that.
Him and Claire Bourne, both of them definitely protect. Claire Bourne done her show unabated every single day from her shed in the first lockdown. She was sick. She was and she was daily updates of how my COVID thing is going. She was. These are fucking narcissists. These people, like. But anyway, sorry, I'll cut you off there. My apologies.
No, I was just about to say, I heard that they were getting fucking injected live on the Late with the vaccine last night. Like, what fucking, who wants to see that? Like, that's just fucking stupid. Like, I saw that the school I went to were putting up on Facebook going, send us in your pictures of you all taking the vaccine. I was like, fuck off. Like, I was going to post it and I was like, I just can't deal with like the fucking negativity I'll get from it. I was going to go, can I have a picture of my arm not getting the vaccine here?
Here, Yoko was talking, we were doing a work for a woman that we know, kind of friend of the family, but she was telling us a story about her grandchild, and her husband had recently had a heart attack. I think it was during the summer, and the grandchild just came in randomly to the grandfather and says, Grandad, I'd love you to go into a home. He's like, what do you mean go into a home? You're trying to get rid of me? She's like, no, if you got into a home, you'd be on the list to get a vaccine earlier than everyone else, and then I'd be able to hug you again. And she was just like, this is what's being taught to the kids in school. This is what they're hearing in the schools, and this is the mentality that these kids have. Well, if I just get me Grandad a vaccine, I'd be able to hug him again, then it'd be all right. And this is the fear that they've ramped up in people. Like, it defies logic. But like, my young one in school is being told that she can't sing because it spreads the virus.
And that's because she's a shit singer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Jesus, she is. No,
it's okay. She doesn't watch this podcast. It's fine. We can say that.
It's all right. She can live off my name and fame for the rest of her life.
Yeah. But you can't sing either, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is what they're being told every day in school. This is what's being fed to them. They're literally being reprogrammed from what we had. We probably slipped through the cracks. We're at that age where they're like, yeah, give it another generation, and there'll be no one left that will understand what true freedom is.
But also, you're stopping kids from being exposed to stuff that they'd normally be exposed to and fight off. It's like this year you hear of like, suddenly people are like, oh, I got really sick. And I'm like, that's because you're not near anyone. You're not getting like little doses of fucking viruses that you normally get. And it's going to make you sick when you suddenly come in contact with people again. And like,
that's immunology 101, isn't it? Like, you kind of have to expose yourself to build up the resistance to it. But what they're doing is everyone is locked in their houses. And not only are they locked in their houses, but their houses are sanitized to fucking surgery room levels at this stage. So no wonder everyone is catching it, is because they haven't got an immune system anymore. Their body isn't used to fucking tackling viruses anymore, because the government have shut that all off. Like, but that's immunology 101. I'm not an immunologist. I can barely say the fucking word. But it's simple, it's that simple. You have to expose yourself. Like, washing your hands is fine. Over washing your hands is not fine. I mean, I think they even said that at the very start of the thing as well. Wash your hands, but don't overwash them, because you are washing away the good bacteria that will help you fight. But now it's just, people are just dickheads.
I went into a shop in London before Christmas and I walked in, wasn't wearing my mask, and your one turned around to me and she goes, those hand sanitizers are fucking toxic. Like, they just give me eczema. And she's like, can you sanitize your hands, please? And I went, no, I'm actually, like, I can't do it. And I was like, about to show her the eczema on my hand. I was like, and she went, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the shop. I was like, what the fuck? There was no one in the shop either. Yeah. I was asked to leave a shop because I wouldn't sanitize my hands. If I go to a restaurant and they say, would you sanitize your hands? I'm like, no, I don't want to use that, but I'll go to your bathroom and wash them with soap. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, they have to physically see you do it.
You used to have your own one, didn't you, or whatever that you do. To be honest, a lot of times I used to just walk up and put my hand under the thing and pretend I got it.
But then you're getting all the germs as well.
No, just literally throw your hand underneath it as if you are going for it and walk by it then. And it doesn't twig with them. You walk off like that with your hands, but you haven't done anything. I've done it once.
I'll tell you the story. That, like, this is the conundrum that they're having as well. So I went and got diesel a couple of weeks ago, and I was walking into the shop, and as I kind of walked into turn, the manager fella that was behind it shouted up to me, "You have to wear a mask." And I was like, "Well, I haven't got one." Like, and he's like, "Well, you can't come in if you don't have a mask." And I was like, "But I have to pay my diesel." "But you can't come in if you haven't got a mask." I was like, "So is my diesel free? Can I go?" Like, no, you have to pay for your diesel. I was like, "Okay." And I was about to walk, and he's like, "Whoa, you have to wear a mask." And I'm like, "But I don't have a mask, so I just give you the 50 quid and then I'll go." Like, "Oh, no." So I was like, "So I can go?" "No." So I can stay?" "No."
Programming.
What the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? I was going to place the 50 on the floor and just kind of moonwalk back out. Like, it's so fucking bizarre. Like, so, they're going mad. What's the question here? I was on the streets in Cork. Not one person sanitizing. Well, that's fucking Cork, let's be honest. Not one person social distancing, washing hands, blah, blah. Not one person sick, not one person died. And that's a community of thousands mixing every day. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, but Cork, these are all pikeys anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing about Cork, let's be honest with you. You're just mad. They're just walking around not washing hands. They all want to die because they're not the capital.
Hey, they spill blood. So, Suzie, you have your own podcast and that now. Red sent it on to me. What's the idea behind that? What are you doing with it?
It's myself and Aidan, who I went to Sweden with. It's called Do You Know What You Should Do? It's on YouTube. I've set up a Facebook page, but I don't know if I put it live. And Do You Know What You Should Do on Instagram as well. Just kind of discussing the fucking madness, but also the fact that just people telling you what to do. Like, fuck off. Like, you're a grown human being. Like, just that this year has just been such a year of people constantly telling you what to do.
I tell you, in the shop where you go to the shopping centre, Artane Castle, there's 2 big sliding doors that you walk in, one to the left and one to the right. Now, on the right-hand side, they use that for the queue for Pennies, because Pennies is up on the right-hand side, and the left is into Tesco, you know. So I was coming out of Tesco one evening, and there was 2 women in front of me, and they walked out the right one. Now, people go in and out of both entrances anyway, but there was a lad coming across and going to walk in, and the 2 women walked out in front of him, you know. So I'm walking out. Obviously, I've no mask or anything on, and I'm standing to the side and say to your man, go on, sir, go ahead. And he looks at me and he points at the ground. And on the ground, I had one-way system or one-way in or something like that, something on the sign to come in. And he pointed at the sign. I was like, well, fuck you, you prick then. And I literally walked straight in front of him. I was like, fuck you and your sign. Trying to be fucking nice to let someone in. And he starts pointing at, look at the sign, you're going the wrong way. You know, this attitude. I'm like, do you know what? Fuck off, you. Walked straight by him, nearly bumped into him on the way. Like, it's like 2 women walked by you didn't say anything. I stepped to the side and literally said, go on, go ahead.
And it's actually usually the other way around. It's usually, because I've been in a few shops where there's lads are saying it to women. Oh, where's your fucking mask? You should be wearing a mask. And I'll be standing beside them going,
what are you going to say to me?
Yeah,
said that
is it because I'm fucking 6'2" and weigh bleeding like 15 stone?
In a shop before, there was a woman and she was over at like the milk yogurt section or whatever, and some fella literally walked by and goes, fucking should be wearing a mask, you. And he had literally just walked by me and hadn't said a dicky board, like looked at me, put head down, walked by, oh, fucking you should be wearing a mask, you, he says to her. And he was like, what? And he's like, you should be wearing a mask, no way. And I said, hold on, pal. So you didn't say fucking anything to me for not wearing a mask. What are you saying to her? Oh, you all should be wearing a mask. And he walked off. Like, it's like, you fucking cheeky prick, you.
And as I was in the milk section, how dare he?
How dare he?
People just, like,
it was baffling.
You get it more as a woman, though. You definitely get more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of looking at it going, wait, he literally walked by me, looked at me. I think I might have even nodded at him or something, you know what I mean? I walked by me and walked on up the aisle and then said it to your woman. And your woman looked petrified, like, what? He's like, you should be wearing a fucking mask, you know, grunting at her. I was like, hey, you fucking walked by me, you didn't say anything. Oh, you all should be, and he went off muttering then, you know what I mean? So, like literally, people have, they become, you can see now how Nazi Germany and communism and all works. You can see the mentality behind it. People want to be told what to do and then want to enforce it on others. Because I have to do it, you have to do it. Don't care if it's right, don't care if it's wrong. If I'm doing it, you have to do it.
And whereas in Ireland, years ago, it used to be, he's not doing it, I'm not fucking doing it. Now it's, I have to do it, well then everyone else has to do it. There has been a complete flip in the Irish psyche.
I think, though, Irish people are so much more compliant about wearing masks than anywhere. Like, in London where I am, if I walk into a shop, like say the shop under where I live, which is like Spar, I'd walk in not wearing a mask, and I'm not the only person. Like, Irish people are so fucking compliant in this. They don't question it. They, like, it's like they love the fucking mask. They're just, and they hate, I think it's it's the lack of, what's that word? Anyway, because in Dublin, chances are you'll probably bump into your neighbour in the shop not wearing a mask, and you bump into someone you know. Whereas in London, I'll never bump into anyone, so no one really.
They don't care.
You don't care.
Yeah.
But people in Ireland are just virtue signaling to every fucking person.
I think it's all the fluoride in the water or something that is literally just.
No, honestly, they just bought. Like the government were very clever with the marketing of this, because they bought the whole, protect the elderly, protect the vulnerable. The 2 most vulnerable people in society, the government have kind of pushed that onto people, and then the Irish people are kind of going, oh yeah, I am a nice person and I do want to protect these people. So therefore, when they see people not wearing a mask, they see it as an attack on they've been convinced it's an attack on the elderly and the vulnerable. So it was very clever what the government did. They kind of used the Irish, although there is a lot of virtue signaling, but I think it's kind of based on, because we are a nice nation of people in general. I think the Irish people in general are quite a nice people. We are quite considerate and whatever. We queue at bus stops and shit like that. We are that sort of nation, and the government used the perfect strategy to get full-on compliance.
On that, I don't think like if you look in the UK and America and all, it was enforced a lot. Like the police enforced a lot of these restrictions. In Ireland, they were kind of put out there, and then it was left to fight amongst yourselves. Like when they put the mask mandate out, when you actually looked at the legislation, there was lots of leeway for you to not to have to wear one legally. But they just kind of left that there and then let people work it out amongst themselves. And it's like, we're not enforcing you. We're telling you should do it. Like legally, lawfully, you should do it. But they didn't then clamp down on it. They just let people have at it. Yeah. And then they fought amongst themselves and pitted each other against each other. And then people just comply. That's what.
And again, that's another clever strategy from the government, because when we're all arguing with each other, we're not looking at how bad of a job they're doing. So again, it's quite clever.
A little question here, GDM 245. What projects is Suzie known from? Would there be
probably our interview? It's probably the most famous thing she's done.
Nothing that they know of. Nothing.
We will put all the links to everything you've done in the description for this later, but you have to.
I've nothing to plug. Well, sorry, I have to plug our show, which is Do You Know What You Should Do? That's on YouTube, and you'll see us talking about going to Sweden. We talk about. And
do you have the actual clips from Sweden in the podcast?
Yeah, there's 2 episodes up at the moment. There should be another one going up next week about Christmas, and then there's a 4th one coming out in a couple of weeks' time as well. And then I don't know, it just depends on when myself, because Aidan lives in Amsterdam. So now if I go back to the UK, it's going to be really hard for me to get to Amsterdam, or to get anywhere.
Who edits the videos, or who filmed it? What way was that worked?
When we were in Amsterdam, one of Aidan's friends did it, and then we had a girl called Danny help us film a few the other day. We just different places we do it in.
Okay, and who's like editing what? Like you've one coming out next week. Are you editing that yourselves, or what way is it working?
No, your one Danny's doing it for us next week.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be out next week.
And what about your podcast? What way do you do that? He's in Amsterdam now, is he?
Yeah, we'll just meet up. The 2 of us will just meet up. We only started doing it only came out in December.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you not think of doing it like this, a Zoom call between you, or?
I think we probably will have to do a Zoom call between us if we're not in the same country.
Like we had the intention of we do the Zoom calls till we got a good spot to do it, because I think we started during the lockdown, did we?
Yeah.
Wasn't sure, but now it's kind of got to the point where it's like the Zoom call is just easy. You're just at home, you have your dinner, then you pop in, do it, and then you go. You know what I mean?
We will end up doing them maybe every Friday night or whatever. That I'll drop down to Coolock and we'll do it where we're both sitting in the same area. But just at the minute, it's easier to do over for Zoom, because I'm south side at the minute and Tera's still north side, so it makes sense.
Sit in the same room together and wear a mask to protect you from each other.
Oh no, I'm gonna kiss. I'm gonna lick his face and all I am.
6 feet apart, of course, and you have to be vaccinated before you can come in onto the show. So there'll be stipulations.
We're family, so it's all right, Tera. We can get away with it. We're related.
He's in my support bubble or something. Does that cover you?
I just walk behind him all day going, "Come on, Tera, you can do it. Yes, come on, the good thing." Just don't mind what Facebook says. I think you're great.
Well, you have been staunchly against this, because I've kind of been following a lot of your comments and stuff like that right from back in March. But PCR tests and all, what do you make of the likes of that?
I think it's bullshit. You're testing. How many people do you know over Christmas who went and got a fucking PCR test and there was nothing wrong with them? They're like, oh, I had to go do this, or to have Christmas dinner, I went and got a test. You're driving to fucking false positives by doing that. Like, I was made to do a COVID test when I came back at Christmas. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I'm not paying for it and I'm not booking it. And you all can fucking do it if I have to do it. And it
again, was forcing compliance. If I have to do it, you have to fucking do it as well.
And it was the antigen one anyway. And even when I went to get it done, I was like, this is bullshit. They're like, what are your symptoms? I was like, this is bullshit. I'm being made to do this by my family. I think what you're doing is fucking bullshit as well. But yeah, it didn't go down well in the testing centre. But,
I can imagine.
And at the time I was driving my yellow red car around Dublin. People were fucking coming down from the north, bringing in COVID. But I think, what is it? Isn't it if you test 100,000 people, and 1,000 people test positive, potentially 800 are false positive?
More than that.
If these people
more than that. Like I've actually heard some guys break it down and say that this is actually a rare disease, because in order for you to get actual real positives, you're looking at like maybe 1 in 100,000, maybe 2 in 100,000 are actual real cases, and that actually makes it a rare disease, like say a Crohn's disease or something like that. It's actually so rare, but you're getting so many false positives because of the way the test is done, and it's picking up whether it's dead virus cells, live cells, whether they're active, not active, how long they've been in the body.
What did the guy that made the PCR test say?
Oh, he said it's like it wasn't designed for that. It's designed for copying DNA strands and structures. That's all it's designed for. Like he's 100% against it. Like I was actually reading bits out of his book and all. Like the chap was like against health and safety officers and all, and like he thinks it's all bullshit. He goes at Fauci. He thinks Fauci is a quack.
Well, Fauci is a quack. Fauci got his doctorate by writing a thesis on how the Spanish flu deaths were caused by wearing masks.
Not the Spanish flu. His doctorate was on the second wave of the Spanish flu, which was bacterial pneumonia caused by mask wearing, and what the impact of that was on the Spanish flu.
See, that's why you're here, Tera. You're the intelligent guy. I'm the looks.
Because I read it. So, you know what I mean?
Is that PCR test going to pick up? This is a massive speculation. But with that, if people are walking around wearing masks all the time and they might be getting pneumonia, they go do a COVID test. Is that being classified as COVID?
Absolutely. And because to the best of my knowledge, they haven't actually isolated SARS-CoV-2 at the strain of it. They haven't isolated it. What they're actually testing for is any sort of viral strain. So it's picking up, like if you have a cold, it's picking up that and going, yeah, positive. There's traces of viral, genes or whatever, or RNA. And when you hear someone like Suzie Houlihan then declare that there is no colds or flus anymore, and you're saying, well, your test doesn't differentiate between any of that. It doesn't differentiate on between, like if I had a cold 6 months ago and there's traces of it still in my body, it's picking up that and saying I'm positive. You know what I mean? So it's just nonsense. And that's on top of the false positives.
Yeah. And then you had Suzie Houlihan come out and say, if you're healthy, act like you have COVID. Did you see that one? Tera. Yeah, it came out recently saying that if you're healthy, you should act as though you have COVID.
No, it's flipped. In the UK, they've done a new campaign, which is act like you have COVID, right? So, because I've seen a few people take the piss out and saying, right, so I should just drop dead in the middle of the street and have a, you know what I mean? What do you mean act like you have COVID? What Suzie Houlihan done was he flipped it and said, act like everyone around you has COVID. So you take precautions as if everyone you come into contact with is a plagued zombie that's going to kill you.
Funny enough, actually, I don't know if I'm going to get sacked for saying this, but my job actually said that to us yesterday. We were all called out. Now, in fairness to my job was just worried about having to close down. It's a real threat, because so that's understandable. Disclaimer. No, but they actually use those words as well, saying like act as if everyone around you has COVID. So it's like, I don't want to be going like they're going to start putting fucking bells on people's necks, around people's necks. That's what's going to start happening. Like they walk around, they go, "How's it going, John? Unclean." They're
not far off. Like they're only short. They want you to wear a badge or something like that. You know what I mean? If you haven't been vaccinated, that's where we're going.
Well, I've seen that on your podcast. When Aidan was saying something that, or was it you saying that there's something about a flower badge or something, or?
Yeah, so there's a thing in the UK, and I say it in the podcast, I fucking hate the word lanyard. You can get this like sunflower lanyard to say.
But you love the word moist, don't you?
Damp moist. You can wear the lanyard with it. You buy it though. It's another fucking thing of making money. I think it's about £3 or £4, and it says you have a hidden disability, and that's the reason why you can't wear a mask.
So you haven't got a hidden disability because it just declared it to the world. Like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Aidan was turning around saying. Because when I went into Heathrow Airport one day, a woman was going to me, "Oh, do you not have a badge?" And Aidan was like, "What, like a Star of David? Like, is that what you have to go around wearing now if you don't wear a mask?"
People don't see, they can't seem to put those two together. as being similar instances. Oh no, but that was the Jews with the Germans. That was different. That's not what we're looking to do here. No, yeah.
And it kind of links to, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
So Jordan Peterson made this before COVID. He was making the point to people to say that, like, for all your virtue signaling, if you live back then, you're more likely to have been a Nazi than somebody who was against it. And people shit all over him for saying that. But this is kind of proven.
Yeah, well, you have a scenario now where was Anne Frank that literally under these COVID restrictions, if Anne Frank was doing what she was doing back then, the majority of people now would have ratted her out to the authorities.
Mm.
And
that's because she was just a rent dodger.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, you can see how you get to that, though. You know what I mean?
It's scary.
Like my mum was telling me, a friend of hers the other day, she's in her 70s, and she got a knock on the door from the next door neighbour, and the neighbour was going, I just wanted to check if you're being safe. And she goes, what do you mean? She says, I saw you get in the back of a car the other day and go off in the back of someone's car. And she went, yeah, I went in the back of my friend's car who's getting cancer treatment, and I went with her to the hospital. She's like, how dare you, like, interfere? She's like, my friend lives on her own, I live on my own, I'm helping her out. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally every action you're kind of doing now is being, like, questioned and monitored.
And twitchers that have nothing better to be doing than, oh, jeez. Remember in the first lockdown, it kind of became a joke where it was like Mary noticed that John across the road has gone for his second walk of the day. You know, and this is really where people are at now. They're so in each other's business that they actually know they have a little bit of power over people. Like, can you imagine an L1 last year would have rang the guard 50 times for all the scumbag youngsters hanging around outside her house playing football and drinking cans? Now she'd only have to make one phone call that the youngster next door was or whatever. Someone had someone over to the house that wasn't in their immediate bubble or part of their family during the lockdown. And the trouble that would cause someone. Like, there was a video yesterday where some woman's house in Scotland got kicked in. Did you see that?
Oh my God, I was nearly crying looking at it. It was so horrendous.
Like, what do you want? What are you doing here? What? We have reason to believe something under the Health Act. She's like, there's nothing like that going on.
There's people here that shouldn't be here. Yeah, officer, fucking you. Piss off, like.
And then he fucking starts attacking the woman and the man, and the kids are going crazy. It's like, this is nutso.
And the remember the Australian girl getting choked out by the officer for walking down the street for not wearing a mask out in the open, in the air.
Oh, do you not remember the one who got it for, she reposted an event where they were doing an anti-lockdown event where people were going to meet up and protest, and she reposted the event on her Facebook page, and the police turned up to her door and arrested her in her pajamas. She's like, what the fuck? Like, I'll just take it down or something. No, you breached it, blah, blah, blah. You're coming with us. Incitement to dangerous activities or something like that, they called it. And people just don't see this as a problem. Well, she shouldn't be doing it.
But people in Ireland don't seem to protest against this that much.
They don't protest at all, really.
No, like, I've been on protests in the UK. I've been on anti-lockdown protests in the UK, and it was like, I was surprised by the crowd because it was a lot of older people than you would have thought there'd be, but it was quite normal as well. It was during, I think it was, when did I go? I think September, October. But in Ireland, it's kind of fucking people who are just, I don't think I'd be happy to go to protest.
They bribed the Irish people off right from the start, the pub payment. They gave them just enough that they wouldn't complain about it. They complained, they wouldn't do anything about it. So they offered the pub payment up right at the start, and they knew, because if they literally said to people in Ireland, right, you can't go to work tomorrow and you're getting nothing, there would be uproar. So they gave them just enough to keep them all cozy and happy. It's like, all right, I'm at home, this is grand, I'm getting $3.50 a week and I don't have to do anything. So I was only getting $4.50 working anyway. And they
have a pub payment in London?
So in the UK, the dole is £93 a week. And then, this if you're self-employed, and then you'll get money towards, say, your rent or your housing. And then there's a thing called, if you're employed, it's called furlough. And I think that's capped to $2,500 a month. Like, if you're self-employed, it's a lot, like, you get a fucking raw deal in it.
Yeah. But they get raw deal over here as well, the self-employed. You can't even get the social over here if you're self-employed.
Also, I think it's really bizarre in Ireland that you can't work basically if you're on that payment. Like in the UK, you can earn like £200 and they'll just dock it from what you're entitled like each month. Whereas here, you have to come off the dole to get €200 to go back on it the following week.
It's weird, yeah. They have it all set, but you can do a kind of casual contracts and stuff like that over here. But the put payment, it was weird. They done it through the employer, so they paid your wage and they got it back or something like that. But they basically bribed the people over here into compliance. That's the way it went. They didn't force it down people's throats or batter them back into their houses. They bribed them to stay at home. And you have to understand, at the time in Ireland, there was nearly a vote for the change of guard, and they basically, all these parties came together in revolt against what the people of Ireland wanted and formed the government, the unlegitimate government or whatever you want to call it, so they were never in a position of power to force it. They had to schmooze their way in, and you can see the way they've done it, that now people are back on board with Leo Varadkar, who literally, what was he, on the 12th count? He still wasn't in the election back in February.
Do you think
that's the point that I made earlier.
Better?
Huh?
Do you think Sinn Féin would have done any better?
No, I'm not saying that.
No. But Sinn Féin would have done great because they're a socialist fucking party, and this is what they're
100% on board with what's going on now. All I'm saying is that the government knew they weren't really in power. Like, if they had been voted back in, they might have gone hell for leather and pushing lockdowns and all that. But I think they played the PR stunt. And look, we're just the standing government for now. We're doing our best. Simon Harris is doing his best. Leo's doing his best. And then when it came to forming the new government, it was like, we'll step back and we let Fianna Fáil in because we were only caretakers. And then it was like, come on, we'll do, and they bribed people into it and schmoozed them into, and then they leached their way back into being in full authority again without really having a full mandate to be there. Like, this government is a very flimsy government as it is. Like, it's only through bribery, backhanders and deals and all that they've kind of managed to keep it together during this pandemic.
I don't know. I don't understand why anyone would have ever voted for Fianna fucking Fáil again, or even
They didn't. They got in through the transition of votes. Sinn Féin, because they called such a quick election, Sinn Féin only had 40 candidates. They didn't have any more. Some of their candidates were getting 3 or 4 times the amount of votes that they needed. If they'd have ran 2 candidates in each area, they'd have got both of them in with a landslide. And all that happened was, it was like one candidate was in by so many votes, all the runoff of their votes were then being whittled down to, right, that now who's next in line, right, the Fianna Fáil candidate gets their vote now because they're in. And it was through the transition of votes. Like, Leo Varadkar got in on the 12th count, I think. Harris got in on the 9th count. They weren't voted in. They didn't get the votes.
And also, Sinn Féin don't want power. Sinn Féin are happy being the opposition.
But even at that, they're a shit opposition, because you see Mary Lou, and all she's doing is nearly calling out for harder lockdowns, harher stuff. She's not turning around and
exactly. There is no opposition.
Only that.
No, I just mean opposition in general. So even without the lockdowns, Sinn Féin, because I mean, let's be honest with you, any government has taken over a poison chalice with the way the Irish. It's so bad. It's so badly run for so long that there's no quick fix. There's no real way of fixing it. So, and I think Sinn Féin are well aware of this. So they're quite happy to just kind of lay back and stay in opposition and then point out the flaws in this government. It's the easiest job in the world. So I think Sinn Féin are quite happy to do that. And I think they don't want to have the power, because once they get power,
honest, I don't think they've even opposition too hard. I think they're kind of just waiting to see, does this government tear itself apart, and then they'll come in at the end and just go, see, this is what you voted for, kind of.
Yeah, but once they take over, if they ever did take over, then they're then the ones that are they're basically responsible.
I think that ship has sailed. I think people will go back to, Leo done such a great job, didn't he? He's, such an upstanding guy. Like, you even see, he's so fake. Whatever happened to the woman who threw the coffee over him? Did they ever catch her?
They killed her. She got killed.
She's
got COVID and died.
She's in Guantanamo with Epstein or something. But like, it didn't happen. It was just a PR stunt. Everything about them is so fake and fabricated. But people have bought into it, and now they want to give the key to the city to Mihal and the key. Well, maybe not Mihal. I think he's full. But Leo, they love Leo. They love Tony Houlihan. You know, they bought into it. And these people, if there ever was another election, they'd be fucking voted back in again.
But how stupid are people? Like, you know, when Leo Varadkar was doing those fucking speeches and he was quoting Churchill, and you know, these the people that were outraged about the Black and Tans monument or whatever it was, and then they're now worshipping Leo with his fucking Churchill thing.
I don't think they were the same people. I don't think so.
I don't know. It was just so fucking weird.
I don't think so. There seems to be a far right in Ireland. I don't know if it exists or not, but they claim it exists. So all the loony lefts, you have people like Hazel Chew and Paul Murphy and all. They seem to be pushing this socialist agenda, and there's a far right fascist that they're fighting at the moment. So it would have been the far right maybe that was against the Black and Tan commemoration, and it would have been like, oh, these people, why are they stopping this ridiculous clinging on to 100-year-old history or something? You know, this is the attitude from the left. It seems to be from Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. This attitude is like, we didn't support them back then, so we don't support them now, kind of thing. It's weird. Like, you see what happened with your man there in Blanchardstown last week, and it becomes this political issue very quickly, and you start to see who's on what side and what their agenda is and the whole thing. It's weird. Like, if you're not paying attention to it, it almost blindsides you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you literally have to be going. Like, I was oblivious to it for a while, and now you're kind of seeing it creep up, and there seems to be a far right, but I don't know where it exists or who's a part of it.
Well, no, it's not far right. It's just anyone who's against the far left is far right. There's no centre and there's no right. You go from far left straight over the far right. That's kind of how
there was
it
the issues with Roderick, wasn't it? When people were against paedophilia or whatever, they were far right activists.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, Susie, when
Roderick O'Gorman.
He's the new children's minister. So he's a gay activist who was he seemed to be very buddy with your man Peter Tatchell, who was attached to kind of paedophile activity in the UK. He was a PM, and he wrote a lot of books that had paedophile material in it and stuff like that. And
was it wasn't Lord Mountbatten, was it, that he was friends with or something?
Might have been that. But anyway, he wrote a lot of material that would have been very paedophile orientated, wanting to lower the age of consensual sex and stuff like that. And all the stuff being taught in schools, they wanted to bring in these transgender agendas into schools and be taught at a younger age, sex education and all that. And Roderick brought him over for one of their marches, one of the Pride marches. And these pictures surfaced then when he became the new children's minister. And it was like your argument earlier of like, these health ministers don't look like healthy people. Why is your minister for children a gay man? Nothing against gay people, but why is it a gay man? Why does it have to be a gay man? The last minister for children was a lesbian woman. Like, why? It seems to be like they want to push this agenda onto children who have no business needing to know.
Well, no, the major issue with Roderick wasn't his sexuality. It was the fact that he was friends with people who promoted paedophilia. Like,
these, when he became the new minister for children, these pictures popped up of him and your man Peter Tatchell at a rally in Dublin the year before, or the summer before, and it was like tagged with thanks for Peter Tatchell, our honoured guest, for coming over, you know. So he was like a friend. And people were going like, hold on a minute, this guy is a known paedophile apologist. He pushes a paedophile agenda in the UK. Why are you supporting him when you're the Minister for Children? What is this? And when people started asking that question, they were all being labelled far-right nutjobs, and they were attacked by the media, and Roderick O'Gorman didn't have to come out and justify himself to this fucking far-right fascist mentality and all.
Well, you had the Simon Donnelly's and all coming out then saying, tweeting them saying, don't worry about these far-right trolls. And it's like, So is it now the government stance that to be anti-paedophilia? Yeah, but is anti-paedophilia is that a far right stance?
Well, no,
or is it just a normal person stance? Like,
yeah, they tried to say it was only far right people that had a problem with it when it was just parents. Like there was a rally where people turned up, and it was people of all ages, young, old, mothers, fathers, grandparents that all turned up against this March for the Children or whatever it was called, and they called them far right loons. You know, so it's like they're pushing this non-agenda. They're creating this boogeyman that doesn't exist that they need to fight against. It's weird in Ireland.
They discredit you. They just, whatever you question anymore, the way they attack you is just discredit you, and you quote this and you quote that. Like, it's like if you question, I'm not a COVID denier, not for a single second. And I know it can be awful for older people, and we definitely need to protect them. But I'm suddenly a granny killer when I turn around and say, like, wait a minute, there's a better way of doing this. We can protect people better, and we can still have our society. Oh, no, you can't do that. How dare you? The doctor's working really hard. And it's like, I'm not doubting that those people are doing that, but can we not question it? Like, why can't we question things anymore?
And our sense of humor has completely gone. I mean, I've seen people were sharing a picture of the doctors that were all lying asleep on the around the hospital. And I put a comment on there saying, Jesus, it must be bollocks from all those TikTok dances. And you see, you laughed. That's the reaction you expect. You're getting blocked or given out to, or like they're taking that as if that's my actual stance on that picture. And they're going to go, don't be stupid. You know these guys are working 24/7, and they're going, oh, joke you. It's gone. And then like I was saying, they're like the way you're being called a granny killer, but their logic doesn't apply to them. So when you say, okay, fair enough, if me being anti-lockdown, anti-mask and all this sort of stuff makes me a granny killer, then you being pro-lockdown and all this makes you responsible for the cancer deaths that's going to follow, and the suicide deaths, and the bankruptcy, and the homelessness that's going to follow. Yeah, no. But this is your logic. And again, another point I gave last night, I seen somebody had shared, you've probably seen it, the Skittles meme. So basically what they're doing is for the COVID, they're saying, because what we're saying, well, it's a 99.5% survival rate. So their rebuttal to that is, well, if I had 100 Skittles and says 3 of them Skittles are poisonous, would you fucking eat it? No, you wouldn't. And I'm like, okay, so you're against vaccines then? You're against the vaccine? And they're like, oh, no. So we'll just replace the word vaccine or COVID with vaccine, because there's side effects to the vaccine. So if I have 100 Skittles and tell you that 3 of them are going to give you Bell's palsy, would you take one? Oh, that's different. Like, no, it's literally your logic, like. So it's gone. That people have just gone to the point where
it's not actually 3 Skittles. It's 0.2% of 1 Skittle. That might
for the COVID. For COVID, there's actually probably more chance of getting a side effect from a vaccine. So there's actually more Skittles in my bag for a vaccine than there is in your one. Your bag is actually safer than my bag. But it's just people have just gone to the stage where, like, logic and reason and, you know, it's an absolute fear porn. It's just getting people off at the minute, and like, you can't, even if you go up and give them some good news about it, they refuse to believe it. Or it's like they actively do not want to believe that there might be, you know, like, oh no, hold on a second. Do you know what? The cases, the PCR test is wrong. So the cases, it's not actually, or I say the deaths, because I make this point to a lot of people. They say, yeah, well, how come 2,000 people died? I said, well, no, they didn't die from COVID. They died with COVID. So if you actually watch your RTE tonight, because RTE have actually changed it. It used to be 2,000 deaths from COVID, and now they've changed it to 2,000 deaths with COVID. But so when you're telling people this, they're acting like they're a conspiracy theorist. So I actually have to physically say to them now, no, watch RTE tonight. When they're giving out the numbers, they now say with COVID, not from, with COVID. No, 2,000 people died from COVID, and you're a granny killer, and you fucking, it's like they just don't want good news.
Let me cue up one of these sayings, granny killer, whatever it is, you know what I mean? How do you feel about any sort of treatments that have been out there, like say the likes of hydroxychloroquine or anything? Have you looked into anything like that? So
yeah, when I was looking into a thing called ivermectin, have you looked at that? Yeah, it's just,
is that the antiviral? That the antiviral one, is it?
No, it's the anti-parasitic one. Which
is parasitic, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
But there's obviously no money in this, because I looked at, someone sent me a link about it the other day, And I'm looking at it, and you could buy it off fucking, I think it was AliExpress or whatever.
Yeah,
you can
for
buy
little or
that.
nothing.
Yeah.
I think the patents and all that, they've opened patents on them, haven't they? Same as the hydroxychloroquine, the malaria drug. They there's no patent on them. Anyone can make them. They can make cheap generic versions or whatever. So would you be of the opinion that there might be some sort of, not an agenda, but there could be a money drive towards how much money they're going to make out of vaccines, as opposed to how much money they would make out of like that, and over what's it called, ivermectin? Yeah,
of course.
Hydroxychloroquine are so cheap and over-the-counter drugs that you could manage this back into, let's open everything back up again. We have these sort of treatments for it, but they won't make big money for
Well,
farmers.
of course it is, because vitamin D tablets are cheap, and I'll get the vitamin D's, the zinc, the Centrum fucking tablets. You start taking them for a while, your chances of getting COVID are quite low. So they're not. That's why the government and RTE are not. But RTE and the government are not promoting that.
Didn't they say like over 90% of people who got COVID had vitamin D deficiencies?
That's why the gingers are all right.
Hey,
we produce our own, motherfucker.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because we're not sun-faring people. So no, see, that's actually. I'm about the science all over your ass. What?
They need to do a study on how many redheads have died of COVID then.
Well, are they saying, isn't that why
we're that ugly, COVID won't come near us.
Isn't that why COVID supposedly is more harmful to black people, they're saying?
Yeah, so they've done so many studies, and they've linked vitamin D deficiency. I was looking at a thing earlier where it was in Japan about like how, and Japan didn't lock down the way we did, but they don't have the same levels of vitamin D deficiency in their older population as what we do, because I think it's because they eat more oily fish, and I can't remember what else has vitamin D in it, but
they have quite decent climate over there as well.
I don't know enough about Japan, but I was looking at it. It was a thing that Ivor Cummins put up, and I was looking at it earlier, and it was Japan didn't have massive deaths because they don't have the low vitamin D levels. And they have started in the UK. I saw someone did get a letter from the NHS saying that they were going to start giving people vitamin D.
Right. Because you see people starting with this rhetoric of, oh, COVID is racist because it kills more black people than white people or whatever. But when you actually try and look at it in the logic manner,
it's an inanimate thing, and it doesn't have feelings towards anybody.
If people say in the northern hemisphere, like in the UK and Ireland, if black people are living there, they're obviously would be more vitamin D deficient than white people, and they're living in, like in Ireland, what you see sun maybe 4 days a year if you're lucky. No, it's not a very warm climate, and it's not a very sunny climate. So
it's dangerous.
Yeah, but there would be a lot of vitamin D deficiency. So that does make sense that if you're vitamin D deficient, that you will be more perceptible to something like this. But these aren't even topics open for discussion with people. They don't want to know. They don't want to hear it. I don't know if you're the same. I, at the start of this, started taking zinc, vitamin D, vitamin B, and vitamin C. That's been me every day. That's been my daily routine. I haven't had the sniffles in a year.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had COVID the first week of lockdown in London, and I wasn't taking that stuff beforehand. I probably was taking a multivitamin, but even with that, like, I made my parents take all that stuff as well. Like, it's when people turn around to me and they're like, "Oh, I haven't been inside my parents' house since March. I'm protecting them," and I'm like, "Well, have you given them vitamin D? Because like that's proven to work as well." And it's like, "No, I just wear a mask and social distance and wash my hands." And you're like, help people's immune system.
Years and years of science and medicine out the window. They're
just waiting for the government to tell them. That's all it is. It's so bizarre, and that's why I'm saying, like, to your point earlier about the pharma and the money aspect of it. It's why RTE and the government haven't been coming out from the very start saying, take vitamin D and boost your immune system. They haven't been telling people to boost their immune system. They literally be basically just, hold on, we'll have a vaccine.
But also, why aren't they telling people to lose weight? Like, they kind of started to do it in the UK.
But you can't, because it's fat shaming. Because fat is healthy.
But it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Like, being overweight has now become a massive marketing tool, because we're promoting, like, we're making bigger clothes, and we realize that people who wear bigger clothes tend to eat more, so there's more money in that. So that's why they're not turning around and saying, because there's been the backlash against the diet industry, because most diets don't fucking work because they're so wrong.
And didn't they put a tax increase on vitamins and stuff like that in Europe?
Yeah,
I think that happened. Yeah,
2 years ago or something.
You're almost fighting against people trying to stay healthy. It's like now in Ireland they did put a sugar tax on, so it's like, oh well, we're balancing it out. We're putting a tax on vitamins and sugar, but it's like smokes. I remember in Ireland, like I gave up smoking probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And I remember every year you'd be like, right, if the smokes go to €8, that's it. I'm not paying a cent more. And they'd be up at €10. You're paying 10 a pack, like, and you'd be like, if they go to 10, 20, I'm never buying another smoke. They know you're addicted to these sugars and smokes and drinking. They can put whatever tax they want on it, and you'll pay it. It's so easy. It's an easy, like you're saying, a market until people are getting bigger. What should we do? I know what we do. Make bigger clothing.
Bring out the double Big Mac. That will help.
Double Whopper.
Which I'm not against that. Say double Big Macs with Whopper as well, and the triple cheeseburger in McDonald's. So we're going to ban the gyms, and then we're going to give you triple cheeseburgers and double Big Macs.
Well, Suzie, here's a question for you. What do you miss most about normal life?
I think I miss just like having a conversation that wasn't about fucking COVID.
I'll never hear it again.
I miss just having shit to do in the evening. I think that's I don't want to watch fucking TV all the time. Like I want to go to a pub or I want to go to a restaurant. It's not about drinking. It's about like even going to like a gig or going to the theater. Like I miss all those things. It's not because you can fucking sit at home and get pissed. Like it's just being outside and seeing new and different things and maybe meeting new people as well.
Yeah, interaction. Human interaction is kind of a huge loss. Not for me. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It hasn't really affected me because I don't like people. I haven't for a very, very long time.
And I never got that off you.
Yeah, I hide it well. But so the lockdown hasn't really affected me that much. So I don't even know what I miss most. I think the mask wear. I used to think people were smarter than they are. So I miss feeling like that. I hate knowing now that I'm surrounded by fucking idiots. I mean, I kind of knew it, but it's been kind of certified. And I think I'd rather go back to the ignorance of not fully knowing that they're all stupid. But that's what I miss most. What about you, Andy?
To be honest, I miss just going on a holiday or something like that, you know? A week's break from Ireland.
You can
see, even me. I'm ginger. I can only go to Scotland.
Honestly, I've very, very little pleasures, say, in life that, like, I've done my clubbing days, like that gigs. I was meant to go and see Yellow Wolf the week of the lockdown in Ireland, and he cancelled his gig, and because he had to get back to America or something, he cancelled the rest of his tour. But I wouldn't be a big going out to places like that, because all the years we were doing gigging and shit like that, I kind of hate drunk people now, you know what I mean? That sort of attention that we got when we were out, people would be all over you, annoying you and getting in your face, and I don't like that. Nearly everywhere we go, like me and Red went to an MMA yoke, would have been just this time last year, would it? Or would have been
January,
January. And I mean, you're getting stopped by so many people. Like, oh, right, Chase, haven't seen you in years, blah, 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 how he's getting. And it's that sort of like, just leave me alone. I want to enjoy this and not be a part of it. So I don't really miss too much about the likes of gigging and all. But for me, if I go away on holiday, like say I go to Spain, I don't want to be harassed wearing a mask everywhere. I want to be able to just go to the pool, so I go for a pint. Don't want to have to book in, socially distance. It wouldn't feel like a holiday for me, and I'd rather not do it. Going through the airport sounds like a hassle. Of a young kid now, it just all seems like too much effort. I might have to get a vaccine or a test and all. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just
just as a side, I know this is kind of irrelevant, but it just reminded me, made me laugh. When we went to that Bellator, so we went outside, me and Jeeves went outside for a smoke, and there was like a few lads that go, "Oh, Reg, can I get a picture with you?" So on that night, I think I got pictures with about 25 people. I'm telling you now, 19 of them had no idea who I was. They just seen other people getting in pictures with me. So they thought I was some famous guy, and they're all getting pictures.
None
of them know what fucking day I was like. But again, that goes back to people being stupid. But well, as you're saying, it reminded me about that. It was funny.
Yeah, no, that was my point.
You are
easily influenced. It just
no, it literally was. Because there was people that I'd walked past a couple of times going out that I'd seen. Because obviously you're on the same schedule. Because once the fight is over and you're waiting for the next fight, you go back down for the smoking area. So there was people there that I'd kind of walked past the scene and never done that. And then there was other people coming and going, Red sir, do you want to get a picture, pal? Yeah, walk away. Get the picture. And then the people who would walk past 8 or 9 times walked over going, all right, mate, can I get a picture with you? And I'm like, going, all right, yeah, fair enough. I know you have no idea who I am. But yeah, here you go, pal. Picture. And then fucking, it was just bizarre. Like. And now with COVID, they can't because you had to be 2 meters apart. You had to go widescreen.
Yeah. You Zoom call pictures.
Yeah, landscape.
So come here, when you were in France, what were you doing in France? What was the whole idea of that?
I was crazy this year being stuck at home or stuck in my flat. I just wanted to fucking do things that were different. You know, when you're sitting around going, when this is over, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'd no work on in October. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go over and volunteer with the refugee charity. Can't say it.
You're racist.
But like they'd piss me off before I went. They're like, you have to isolate for 2 weeks before you go. I was like, I'm immune to COVID, I've had it. They're like, no, you've got to do a test. So I did a test, but they just were, I don't know, these people were, it's like what you said, I always thought people were smart. They were just, a lot of them were fucking morons. Like I was living with this bloke who like, when I'd been isolating for a week and he was like telling me I couldn't go to the shop after I was told I was immune by the French health authorities. He's like, yeah, but we live in a caravan park. What if they see you walking around and we've told them that we have COVID? I'm like, I just got a negative test result and I can just tell them I'm negative. Like, you know, people again trying to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And then they give you counselling to like stand in the back of a van to hand out socks to to refugees. And you're like, what? Like, I don't understand why I need counselling to stand in a fucking van, like handing out socks.
Counselling, and what way counselling?
They'd be like, oh, no, this is the protocol of how to handle this. Now it could be very tough. And I'm like, I'm standing in a van. Like, you're out to, like, they've spent so long. I think like,
listen, pal, I'm from Dublin. I can steal socks. Get your socks over here. Socks for the judo.
Here for the fibre.
Well, like I've done loads of promo work over the years. It's no different to handing out like fucking lollipops in Dublin, like, you know, people coming at you. But it just, I don't know, I just didn't really get on there. Like the people were just not my kind. Like some of them were nice, that's what I mean, but like just the people who were running it were like just fucking morons. Really.
Who is running it? It's not like a UN or what?
No, I don't name them, but they were
French
like
authority.
No, it wasn't. It was a charity that handed out clothes to like for males.
And what is the situation that the refugees are in over there? What's the what are the conditions they're living in?
Like it is pretty fucking horrible. Like you do this thing where you watch the police going around moving them on. So they don't have as big massive camps that they used to have in Calais anymore. A lot of them are smaller camps, tend to be people. Like you might get Eritreans here, you might get Syrians in another one, like, you know, sticking together with your people. But if you camp on land for more than 48 hours in France, you've got squatting rights. So the police obviously know
right,
this.
so they move, yeah.
They're moving them on all the time. And sometimes like
and it's not the charities that set up the camps, is it? It's just them showing up and pitching a tent, is it? Like,
yeah, people just show up in areas and pitch a tent. Like Calais is a dump anyway. Like no one wants to be there.
And is it like violent? Is there lots of crime? What's the?
Did anyone rob your socks?
Oh, no, nobody robbed my socks. Like
couldn't even give the fuckers away.
I don't know. I don't think so. Like most of them just seem like it's funny because I was expecting refugees to look like really destitute people, and you're looking at them going, "Gosh, you're already young, and you're well dressed. You're young men that want to work, and you want to get." You want to get out of France, you want to get to the UK, you're people who just want to work and get on with your life.
Yeah. Because I know what you said about the squatters' rights. I know in Spain at the moment, it's almost like an epidemic. They have, is it like the Romas, gangs of Romas going in, and they know because people can't get over to their holiday home, say in Spain, from the UK and Ireland, and they're going in and squatting in their apartments and their houses. So they're literally like, their gangs going around they're picking out these places, they're putting people into them, they're robbing the places blind. The police can't get rid of them. It takes like 8 or 9 months of legal, courts and all to get them out of the place. And when people are getting them back, they're literally stripped of copper, they're stripped of their faucets, they're stripped of their light fittings, you know what I mean? And this seems to be quite prevalent in Spain at the moment. So I know what you're saying with the squatters' rights things, that the police will move them on rather than let them hang around for, it has to be a horrible existence in the same note, but then you have gangs will find an area to kind of exploit, capitalize on an area, It's like it has to be fucking. I know you're saying they're all young. They probably all have iPhones and all, like, but it's no existence for anyone either, is it really? Like, they're waiting to jump on the back of a truck to the UK or something. Is that what they're doing? Like,
yeah, basically, that's why they're all in Calais. Or there's, some of them were people who'd like tried to make a life in Germany, and Germany had now kicked them out, so they're trying to get over to the UK.
Well, I know Poland won't let any in, won't they not?
I'm not sure.
I remember that.
That's because they're all Poland are all over here. So.
Yeah. I remember the PM of Poland saying, "Yeah, we won't have an immigration crisis over here because they're not getting in or something." This was kind of a press release or an interview.
Because when there was a bit of a crisis going on, the EU are basically saying we all have to do our part and we all have to have X amount, and Poland came out and says,
"Nah." And even for the COVID, when the forced lockdowns and all were happening, Poland was like, "We've no cases in here because none of these people are getting in." That's the end of it.
And then they got loads of cases.
Did they? I don't know. Everywhere. I'm not even really paying attention to the rest of the world anymore because it's all nonsense. You can't believe any of it.
No, I think go on holidays to Sweden. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you were saying, people will tell you how bad Sweden is, and then you get there and it's not that bad. Like,
no,
I think that's probably the same everywhere. Like, people tell you, "Oh, it's bad in Spain. They're going into full lockdown now," and you get there and it's the same as here. It's not. If you would like wake up out of a coma today, go out into Ireland, knocking about, there would nothing other than all the signs in the window, nothing else. You wouldn't see anything that would tell you there was a pandemic.
It's not like a plague where people are. It's not like the start where China had people dropping dead on the streets.
Oh yeah, videos, the propaganda videos to scare you.
That's so strange, and the way that nobody ever really brings that up. Like even in meetings with no governments that really have had that question put forward to them. Do you remember China when they all? What's the crack with that? Nobody was asking Leo because I'm going to be honest with you. At the very start, for the first 2 weeks. When I was seeing them videos, I was like, right, we're locked down. I'm a father. So I'm like, right, we're locked down. I'm not fucking risking me. I don't want my child dropping fucking dead because he has this COVID shit. We didn't know anything about it. But then as it kind of went on and you start kind of common sense prevails.
Yeah, do you know the interesting thing about that, Red? I went looking at it, right? They found that there was a load of Twitter accounts and social media accounts set up that it was almost like, remember them images that we were seeing where it was like people being barricaded into their houses, they were going around hosing the streets, like they were disinfecting the streets and all, and you were seeing cars pulling up and guys in full hazmats and all, right? It actually turns out that a lot of that seemed to be staged, obviously, as we know, but what happened was there was loads of these accounts then set up in Western nations, so in Europe, UK, Ireland, America, on social media, that were then putting out, like they literally did no activity on them whatsoever until they were set up for this. They start pumping out these videos. So these were where these videos were getting sourced from. They tracked them back to all these, and a lot of these accounts, once the COVID thing kind of came out, a lot of these accounts were shut down, and any of them that were still active immediately then switched to BLM stuff, and they start pushing that. So they're basically, I think the conclusion of the article I was reading was that a lot of these were like CCP fucking accounts that were used for propaganda against the West, nearly. You know
yeah, because if you go onto YouTube and try to find the videos of the people dropping dead in China, they're gone.
Can't find them, yeah.
Can't find any.
But they came from these unknown accounts that I think Twitter even, your man was saying Twitter shut down loads of them when they found that they were inactive Chinese-based accounts or something like that. They were coming from Chinese sources, like. But that's where all these videos, they're all tracked back to. They never came from genuine news media outlets or anything like that. they all came from these accounts, and then the news over here picked up on them.
Oh.
So it was weird. It was like this big hacking, thing set up to sell this idea of lockdowns to the West. It was an interesting article now that I read, and I can't remember where. One of those late night surfing, and was like, that's interesting, and then you go looking for it again, you can't find it, But it seemed that, and then they switched over. Any of them that were left still active switched straight over to them BLM stuff when that kicked off in America, like promoting BLM, promoting black rights and activism, and down with Trump and all that sort of stuff. So
they now all these accounts have now
that's
like
what they went to.
Trump
That's
stuff.
what they started. It was all COVID. So it was all COVID from China, lockdown, blah, blah, blah. Then they went dark, and then a lot of them got taken down, and any of them that were still there then switched and started posting about BLM. Nothing else in the meantime, you know what I mean? So
were those accounts then found to be sourced back to the start of the BLM stuff?
And a lot of them, these guys traced these accounts where it came from. They were like, well, where did all these videos in China come from? Like what you're saying, you can't find them on YouTube or anything. So
no, I'm saying like after the COVID went black, and then like so all the BLM stuff, did they trace back the kind of initial videos then came from these accounts as well?
So like say there was a couple of 100,000 accounts. Twitter shut down loads of them, but the ones they didn't get then switched over and started promoting BLM stuff. So it's like it was the same in the UK. I remember there was a load of government accounts that were set up, and when they were doing the whole stay home, protect the NHS, kind of ramping that up at the start, there was a load of accounts that were set up by the government that they'd have like a fake nurse. They took a picture of a real nurse, but it was a fake account. And it was like a government account, and they were using it to promote government, stay home, protect, blah, blah, blah. And the actual nurse that one of them was being used for said, that's not my account. That's not me. I don't know where that picture came from. And a couple of guys online start hunting into it, found out that these were all traced back to a PR company that were hired by the government of England, it's whatever district it was in, were hired by and paid money. It was all traceable. Like they went and found out that this company was hired by them a couple of weeks before that to PR this NHS stuff, and they just set up a load of fake accounts as if they were nurses, and then start tweeting stuff like "Stay home to protect me. I'm working. I'm over." You know what I mean? And it was all fake. And when they got caught, they just shut down all the accounts and deleted them. Like, so there was loads of this going on. And in Ireland, we know Leo has done the same thing. They'll set up their little bot accounts where it'll be just like joined January 2021, and you go into Leo, and Leo will be like, now everyone needs to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3 messages down, you'll see an unknown account with a stupid name going, Leo, you're just the best. You say, you know what I mean?
Oh, that was actually me. That was me.
I know. But like they do set up all these accounts. So this is what they reckon happened at the very beginning to sell the propaganda of the lockdowns in China. All these accounts were set up, and this is where they were all coming from. So it's, you can't believe it you're even reading anymore. You know what I mean? You don't know where it's coming from.
You just have to go with like, when people can't do this, just go with your own intuition in this shit. Like if it doesn't like ring true and trust yourself in it. Like from the start of it, I was going, nah, like I just don't get this shit. Like I don't get that they care that much about my health. So I think this is a lot of it is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Although in saying that, Tera, do you reckon that like in one of these TikTok videos that they're going to pull the mask off and your man Ashley Banjo is going to start going, yeah, it was like Greg, it was. Yeah, no, it is.
And then it'd be Trump, and it'd be
yeah, doing his little Trump dance.
You won't see Trump. Sure, he's off Twitter now. We won't be able to. He
got banned, didn't he?
Yeah, they actually deleted all his tweets as well.
What?
They deleted. He's completely gone.
That is frightening. Whenever, like, I think Trump's a bit of a fucking moron, but like, I don't think Biden's going to save anyone either. But no. I just think it's really dangerous what's going on. Like
for censorship, it is like the Ayatollah and all are still on Twitter. You know what I mean?
You're not even going that deep. You don't even have to go that far over there. Like Maxine Waters, she's a Democrat senator, I think she was California, and she was actively on a podium telling people, if you see Trump supporters out with their families, harass them, make them leave. She was inciting violence. I seen that video on Twitter, ironically. She's still on it. Nancy Pelosi has incited violence.
Yeah,
Chris Cuomo has incited violence, and none of them have been removed. So they're even the reason why they moved Donald Trump, it's bullshit. It is censorship.
One that had the head of Donald Trump? Remember she done that at the start?
Oh, fucking Kathy Griffin. Like she was basically saying, let's cut the head off the leader of our country. And that was right at the start with Trump, and then right at the end she done it again. And nothing at all. Like. And ironically, Trump didn't even incite violence. Trump told people to go there to protest. But that's not, he didn't say he stormed the Capitol building. So he didn't even incite violence. So the reason for deleting him was for inciting violence when he didn't. But when there's actual prominent politicians on the left that have incited violence are still there, like it's fucking crazy. And then, I don't know if you heard this, Suzie, today Google and the Apple Store have removed Parler from their sites as well. So that means that if you leave Twitter and Facebook because if you don't agree with us, this is not a platform for you, but you also can't go to a platform that may be for you. It's scary. It really is scary. Like.
But also they're updating the terms of service on WhatsApp that they can then access your messages and like market stuff to you from them.
Yeah, we actually only accepted that today, but I had to read a message that was sent to me, so I just clicked yes and then went in and done it. Because that ultimately that's what if you don't, otherwise you can't use the services, and you are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But you know what happens, Red, is that, these other places like Parler and all, they'll pop up. And Google stops you from using Parler. That's cool. People start using DuckDuckGo and stuff like that, and using Tor networks and VPN.
Or what will happen is what happened on Tuesday. When you remove people's ability to express their opinion vocally, all you leave is to express your opinion physically. That's all you're doing. So what they're actually doing is, and I was actually, like, after seeing what happened on Tuesday, really what happened or should have happened is the Twitters and the should have said, well, you know what, this is a potential now, because the right have been so pacified for the past 4 years that they were just walking down the road and getting beaten up by BLM guys, and there was no comeback or whatever. And then finally the bear was poked enough, and then they snapped on Tuesday. That should have been a warning to say, well, hold on a second, we need to kind of come to a immediate, common ground here. But what they've actually done is they're just going further. Now they want to arrest Trump, they want to jail him, and it's like, what do you think? If these guys done this because he didn't get elected, what are they going to do if he gets locked up? Like the left need to talk. Like what they're doing is they're inciting this. They're poking the bear, getting bit in the hand, saying, "Oh my God, this bear just bit me." It's scary. But I think America is heading to civil war anyway. I think that's a done deal at this stage. There's 79 million people that voted for Donald Trump that now have no voice, no platform to voice their opinions, no no outlet other than, okay, well, we can't be on your platform, fine, we're going to burn your fucking platform to the ground. But that's kind of what they're and then saying, oh my God, look at these guys, they're going to, like, it's actually quite scary, but interesting at the same time. Like, being not from America, I'm quite happy to sit back and watch.
I know, that's awful, but I'm kind of just watching it going, this is fascinating. Like, you don't want to see people get hurt or injured or anything like that, but at the same time, you're going, fuck, America used to be the place when you were a kid. You're like, oh, I just want to be American. I want to be that. Now you're looking at it going, I don't want to fucking go anywhere near there.
Nah, me bollocks, I wouldn't go over there. But again, as I'm saying, being James Jones, the only place I can go is Scotland. So.
Well, Suzie, what do you think maybe endgame is on all this? Obviously, there's an agenda at play. What do you think endgame is? Or what can we see unfolding over the next, say, for 2021?
Comrade.
I don't think 2021 is going to be any better than 2020. I really don't. But part of me is going, I hope that this is the start of people waking the fuck up. And I hate sounding like that person, but as to what goes on in this world, as to the fucking evilness of pharmaceutical companies that don't necessarily want you better, as to governments that don't give a fuck about you. Like, I'm hoping with all the shit that's going to happen, and there's going to be more shit that's going to happen, that people are going to turn around and go, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. Like, yeah, the shit you've been saying since last March, actually, maybe you are making sense.
Yeah. All the conspiracy theories have gone true. We have another comment here. Read an article today from RTE where they were insinuating Trump's mental state with regards to the election is so concerning that now it's legitimate to worry about him nuking somebody. But that has been they've been saying that since the start. Oh, you can't give a man this, that's the range. Like, didn't it codes to the nuclear bombs? He's a warmonger. Not one war has he started. Not one war has done. Like Obama, every 20 minutes of his election, there was a bomb dropped.
Yeah.
And Trump hasn't bombed anybody, but Trump is worried about Trump.
When you look at the
peace, give it to Biden, who was under. But Biden was under Obama, where 20 bombs were dropped. A bomb was dropped every 20 minutes for 8 years, and now Biden is, and they're not worried about Biden continue on Obama's war legacy. It's fucking yeah, but he'd probably forget the codes.
You forget where he bought them. We're all
you know, I'm going to press the the thing,
my pills.
Dude, myself. Yeah, I love them. But they legit were sparking fear of Trump starting nuclear war. Now that's not fire worth starting, considering the irrational fear around COVID and masks. I like this guy Dylan. Where were you earlier on, pal? Where all your insight? Could show up towards the end.
Well, you do, to elaborate on your point you were making there, Suzie, you know, we're living in a world where pharma wants to keep people sick instead of keeping them healthy. Education wants to dumb you down instead of making you more intelligent. You have politicians who are just playing out their own theatre, and people are worshipping them like they're religious gods or deities. And to add on to what you were saying, you just kind of hope people really start to see behind the veil.
Well, on that, we have another comment from GDM245. I saw a video that showed the cops opening barricades for the protesters. Also, some of the Trump supporters at the Capitol were spotted at BLM protest, and one had a hammer and sickle tattoo on his hand. Well, you were saying this to me earlier, Tera, and I was going to pish-poshing it a little bit because, again, I just put it down to, America's just being fucking fed up by how over the past 4 years.
Oh, well, I seen an actual video earlier on where they're at a fire door and the police open it for them, and they're all walking through almost like it's a tour of the Capitol building. You can see that the supporters are kind of like, no way, we're in. What's going on? And the police are kind of shepherding them in now. So
how funny would that be, though? You run and go, yeah, let's go, and then you really go,
I'm abstaining from an opinion on it because there's so much fuckery going on at the moment that you can't believe one side or the other. You can't believe. You could take one stance on it and you'd be like, no, well, they were clearly Trump supporters, and then you find out later that they were Antifa disguised as Trump supporters, like that, wearing with a hammer and sickle tattoo on the hand or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm not going to jump into it and go, this is exactly.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, though, you do that and then they turn out in a hammer and sickle tattoo. Your man pulled the sleeve up further, and it's like a tattoo of like dangling from your man's balls or something like that. Like it's to represent that, you know what I mean? That we
yeah, and us doing this
podcast, piss all over.
Like, you know what I mean? It's all fantasy land. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you can't. It's hard to speculate.
Yeah, like America is it's going to get interesting, I think, over the next week or two. So,
but the problem with America as well is, because I know a lot of people say, well, it doesn't affect us. It kind of does, because it's a trickle-down effect. I mean, this far-left shy hasn't been in Ireland 3 or 4 years ago, and it's here now. And that all stems down from America. I think it goes from America over to the UK and then ricochets over here. Like, so what happens in America is actually quite important. Like,
why? What did Ricochet do?
Hey, you leave the jokes to me, Tera. Leave the jokes to me, for fuck's sake.
It's been a while since you dropped one, so.
A good one. I haven't had a good one in a while, to be honest with you. Like, I made a Scotland joke. That was good. Yeah. Susie laughed. That's the main thing. We're entertaining the host, I guess.
The host. Well, we revert back to it. So, Susie, where'd you get your name from? I was literally, when I look back at the One TV thing, it was like the first question, and that's kind of a pet peeve of me and Reds. It's like you always get asked, where'd you get your name from or something. So it was hilarious looking back at it. So Anyway,
And I have to say as well, I did miss out on a joke because we were talking about Japan and you were saying, I don't know a lot about Japan. I was like, shit, because if you did, I would have called you Suzie Houlihan. Yeah. The opportunity didn't present itself, so I let it slide.
I didn't miss that shit joke.
No.
You trying to say my shiitake? Shiitake good too. Right.
Wait, one more shout there. What's it? RTE are the left agenda. Fuck off, free area. You're just bleeding. You're a far right nut job.
Well, I'm gonna read it. Well, I like the far right nut jobs. I'm gonna read it.
You're a good lad, but you're from Cork.
RTE are the left agenda pusher. No gender LGBT bend over for. Oh no, actually no one. No.
Maybe one last question for you. So what are your plans for this year? What are you planning on doing?
I'd say this. I just want to get my fucking hair cut and I want things to be open. Like nothing. I think I'll just continue doing the show with Aiden and just like, I don't know. Right. I wrote a short film. I was saying that I filmed that and get that out, get it to a couple of film festivals and just see, like, acting's been so pummeled by everything. You know, you've so many out of work actors at the moment. Like, an industry that's normally so competitive has just become even more fucking competitive. So whatever, just get through it. Is there
any light at the end of the tunnel for your industry at the minute, or is there no way of knowing, or when it's going to open back up? Or
I don't think, like, theaters won't be opening in the UK until like June, July.
Oh, really? So you can't even do it and kind of like say the way, like there's artists like, I mean, she's mad into fucking paying 15 quid to watch Dermot Kennedy on YouTube and shit like that. You guys haven't got any.
But didn't they do it?
Because she's stupid enough to fucking watch it, to be honest with you, and pay for it as well. Like,
they have done some. Like, I haven't done plays. They have opened up theaters where you'll get actors in it, but you know what I mean. You're not going to have as many people that are normally in it, anyway. For a start, and it's all. Like, I know a friend, like, the National Theatre did reopen in the UK, but it's like socially distanced. You know, you're not.
Well, they don't pantos online. My young one in school, they were all watching it. They were doing online panto show or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there an industry for that or a market for that of any sort? No.
There is a bit of it. Like, I've done some stuff online, but like, it's unless you're actually like properly filming stuff like that, that's different. But even then, they're making like production as small as possible, getting as, you know, the least amount of actors they can, just because of COVID regulations.
We've another question here, Susie.
I actually kind of want to see like a sex scene. They're 2 meters away, just dry hump in the air.
Mask,
like, they're just dry hump in the air, and then you just have to imagine the two of them are actually connected. Like,
a question for you, Susie. Any advice on acting?
Don't do it.
At the moment.
My advice on acting would be,
very general. It's very, very, very generalized question, isn't it? It's so open to.
I think
specifically
do classes, go to evening classes in it. Like, there's loads of evening classes around Ireland that you can do it, and just, I don't know, learn where people train that you admire, and learn. There's lots of techniques. Like, I've been really lucky actually this year. One positive was there's a woman in LA who I really admire, and I do her classes online. Her name's Ivana Chubbuck. So yeah, read that book, The Power of the Actor. That's what you should read if you want to be an actor.
And simply comes to you learning your lines. What's your method? Like, as a battle rapper, the shower was my best friend, because I used to just kind of go out my bars in the shower a lot. Would that be a tactic you do, or is it just kind of? No, you'd actually need somebody there with you, wouldn't you? So that'd be an awkward shower.
There's apps you can use in your phone, so you just record the other person's lines and you just do it, and you're just doing it over, like in the shower. You're in the shower and you're just thinking of your lines over and over and over and over again.
For shoots, would you say you were doing a normal shoot? Would you, like, the day before your scene or whatever, would you just land in, or would you know the whole script? Would you know pretty much every part in case you were bouncing between scenes, or what way does that work like?
You'd know what scenes you're shooting the next day, or you get your shooting schedule and you'd know what it is, but you'd try and learn it all before you start shooting. Well, not like off by heart, but, you know, have a good idea about it.
Because obviously if you're doing, say, a play, you'd obviously have to learn the whole play and know it off. But if you're doing scenes, I'm sure like that, you could be aware of, right, I have this scene coming up next week and I understand but I learn it next week. because I have this scene tomorrow and I need to focus on laying this. Is that the way you'd break it up?
Yeah, you would do that. You'd focus on what's coming up, but you'd also, before, if you've got the whole script, you'd try and get as much of it learned as possible before you go to shoot it, if you've got the time.
And what would you use to kind of get you in character? Have you any sort of quirks or anything you do before you go on camera? Anything like that to get you motivated?
Do you use the Joey Tribbiani acting methods of, like, if you have to cry, you just put some tweezers in your pocket, right? Or
I just pinch myself. Well, that book that I was talking about, The Power of the Actor, like, there's all the techniques and that, and a lot of it's about using shit that goes on in your own life and just kind of powering through it. So say you were doing a scene where someone dies, you either would use like the what if your mum died, or what if, or else if someone you know has died before, you'd kind of bring up the emotional memory of that and use that for the character.
See, that's what I never make as an actor, because I'm a double hard bastard. I wouldn't be able to cry. I'd have to go.
You can't cry.
Old school, lick me fingers.
Lots of men don't cry though. Lots of men don't cry.
No, I haven't cried in years, I don't think. No, I did actually. I cried last night when Villa got beaten 4-1.
God, you're like my brother-in-law, a Villa fan.
I was all right. Tell him me them are better. I actually probably seen him at the meetings.
Up the Villa.
Did you pull the mask down and greet each other? Yeah.
No, I just went up the street.
The Villa meeting. Sorry.
Just went up and started kissing him straight away. To be honest with you, like, I was so happy to meet another Villa fan. Right. So on that note, I think we should probably end this podcast.
On that note, well, listen, thanks for having me on. I hope you take care. I hope it won't be as long until the next time I see you guys again.
Come here, yeah.
Here's on to your podcast.
We do a swapcast.
No,
come here. You're welcome on anytime. Obviously, it's been a pleasure to return the favour so many years later.
8 years later.
And come here.
I will see you in 2029.
If we all haven't died of COVID.
I'll be called Grazer.
It'd be welcome relief at this stage. Get it over with.
Yeah, the sweet release of death.
Thanks a lot for coming on, and
we appreciate
this chat. And hopefully we'll do it again.
Hopefully,
and get some links over to us, and we put them at the bottom of the video as well.
Yeah, get me all your links and for your podcast and all. I'll get that on for people to go and check out. You should definitely do. You should introduce some of the acting stuff for a segment of your podcast or something. You know what I mean? To discuss what you're learning, and that'd be very interesting. No, we only got on to it again. Thinking of all these questions I could ask you about. It's like, why the fuck did we talk about COVID for so long?
Cool. See you guys. Take care.
Thanks very much, Suzie. Have a good day.